This half of Canadian professional football is brought to you by Labatt's, brewers of 50 Ale and Pilsner Lager Beer.
Our Grey Cup coverage continues now from Empire Stadium, where I'm sorry to say we're getting a very, very light little sprinkling of rain starting. Less than 30 minutes to go now to kickoff, and your play-by-play commentator for today's game will be Fred Scambatti. Fred?
The Western champions from Saskatchewan meet the Eastern title holders from Ottawa in the 54th renewal of the Grey Cup game, coming to you today in color. The Saskatchewan Roughriders, who finished first in the Western Conference, have not been able to accomplish a victory in the national final despite 8 attempts. Their last bid was in 1951, when a team directed by Blackjack Smith lost to an Ottawa club coached by Clem Crow, and the score was 21-14. The 66th edition of the Eastern Riders also finished first, and this is the 8th time that a team representing Ottawa has appeared in the premier Canadian football game, and they've won on 3 occasions. Their latest conquest was in the 1960 game, a 16-6 win over Edmonton. The teams met once in the regular schedule, the Riders of Ottawa defeating Saskatchewan 18-8. And there's certainly the prospect of an exciting contest at Empire Stadium in Vancouver today. Both teams have excellent credentials for this game. Now, with the first of our pregame interviews, here's Ernie Afghani's.
This is Ron Lancaster, the wonderful quarterback of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And Ron, I know that everything's been pointed to this big game. I'd like to know how a quarterback feels before all this starts.
Well, myself, Ernie, it's been a long week of preparation, and you go over everything that they might do and they might not do and everything else. And as for me, I'm glad the ball game's here, because now you get to go on the field and you'll find out.
They tell me that some players have a special way to hold down the pressure and keep the butterflies down and relax. What is your way?
Well, there's times when I get a little nervous at times, and there's not really any special way, but I usually like to go into a ball game relaxed and just feeling like, well, okay, we're here now, we're going to play.
And that's it?
Yeah.
On the footing today, the field, well, a lot of people were wondering about it, wondering exactly how it would be. You've tested it. What do you think?
I don't think it's going to be too bad. It's a little soft, sure, but we've had a lot of rain, but considering that, I'd say the field's in excellent shape, Ernie.
Okay, Ron, lots of luck to you.
Thank you.
Thanks very much. Ron Lancaster, the quarterback of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Now to Nobby Workowski.
Russ, does Saskatchewan have a weakness defensively, if any?
Well, Nobby, they've been talking all week about their deep backs, but I've been watching them in the movies, and in the latter part of the season, I think they came along terrifically. And with Dale West back in there today, certainly they, I don't think, have any glaring weaknesses, as proven by winning this Western Conference.
What do you anticipate offensively will work for you best?
Well, Nobby, that's difficult to say. If they stick to their standard type of defenses, then we feel that possibly we may have to go inside a little bit more than we have against other teams, but they may come up with something different in anticipation of us maybe trying to work their inside a little bit more.
You expect the big blitz from their line?
I think so. I think in any game you expect it, especially when it comes down to this one final game. They're going to come on, the same as our team's going to try and go on their quarterback.
So in other words, you think they'll try to take away your rollout?
I think this is the idea. I think they have to do this.
Now let me ask you another question. What will you counter with if they do?
Well, we've got the material, we think. We're ready to go inside if they want to play wide on us. So this is what we just have to wait and see what they want to do, Nobby.
Do you think that you can pass deep against them?
Well, they play a lot of zone, Nobby, but certainly sometimes they relax a little bit, and sometimes they get confused. But in the latter ball games against Winnipeg, they played very well, as I say, and therefore we think it's going to be difficult to throw deep.
Does Saskatchewan use a defense that's going to be complicated to try to take apart, or do they normally stay with a basic standard defense?
They're basic, I think, in many respects. They don't go with too many different defenses, such as a team like Hamilton would. They play standard football, and they play it tough. And I think their strength is along their front wall and their linebackers. In Ekstrand and the other corner linebacker, they've got some terrific defensive corners, and this helps them a great deal in containing wide stuff and putting the rush on when they want to.
Good luck, Russ.
Thank you, Nobby.
This is Eagle Keys, the coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. And Eagle, the last time you were in a Grey Cup, it was against the same ball club in the same park. And I don't know if you know it, they probably do. Everyone in the country has been picking you to lose.
Well, Ernie, this is a situation where you really like to be in, that everybody's picking you to lose. And Really, it just gives the players a little more incentive to win.
The players themselves don't believe all the things they read, I suppose.
No, we think we have a real good chance to win.
Eagle, you put in a variation of the T formation, the wing T, against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and it did a lot of good. Anything special you're putting in for the Ottawa Roughriders today?
Yes, I think coming out in the opening series of plays, Ernie, that you'll see something different.
You can't tell us about it?
Well, it'll be something different. I haven't seen it this year in Canadian football.
Well, we'll be looking for that, Eagle, and I know that when we were talking about this before the game, they told me that the Saskatchewan club was hurt a lot more than you are giving out information on. Is this true?
Yes, because if we come in here and lose, we don't want that excuse that we are a hurt football club. We have some players that are playing that are certainly hurt, but I think they'll give it 100%, and if we lose, it'll be the best football team that beat us.
You checked over the field. Will this, the field the way it is now, affect your running game or passing game at all?
It really doesn't seem to affect the players. I've watched them in the warm-ups, and they seem to have pretty good footing, so it shouldn't affect them too much. But there's certainly going to be a lot of slipping.
Talking about your own quarterback, Ron Lancaster, when you first brought him in, people thought that he was just a little bit too much of a scrambler, and I remember asking you about this one time, and you said, we don't want to change him. We like him that way. He seems to be maturing. Quite a quarterback now.
Oh, yes, we worked a lot on his passing. He does an excellent job now. He's a real all-around good quarterback, so we have no complaints with Ronnie now.
Okay, Eagle, thank you very much for talking to us, and lots of luck.
Thank you.
Coach Clare, what are you expecting offensively from Saskatchewan?
Well, Nobby, we're quite concerned. There's no doubt they're the best team in the West out here, and they've proved it by their tremendous running game along with their passing, and I think the big thing is they kind of run right at you. They're a very strong offensive line, and this has been our biggest worry. So we've pepped up our defensive line and our whole defense all week, and they're ready for the challenge, I hope, and it ought to be a great football game.
Most people think that Saskatchewan depends on their passing game as their big offensive weapon. Do you agree with this?
No, they didn't do this in their playoffs in Winnipeg. They had a lot of great running plays, and this is a big thing. If we can control their running game enough to get our linebackers back for that pass and be more or less settled for the pass, it would help us an awful lot.
Hugh Campbell, any
Well,
special defense for him?
No, we'll have to change up on him. We'll have to have different zones and different man-to-man situations because this is necessary. It's hard to double-team him and leave some Barwell and some of the other fine receivers go.
In one ball game this year, you assigned Joe Poirier to him exclusively. Would you do this again?
Well, I'd be very hesitant to do this because it disrupts our our defensive alignment, and somebody gets mixed up and there'll be somebody free, and no, we've got to play a game that I think mix them up, zone and man-to-man defense.
Good luck, Coach.
Thank you.
Right. Gentlemen, these are your officials for today. I'm your referee, Alan Dryborough. Alan Dryborough, your referee. Mr. Seymour Wilson, line umpire. Mr. Don Barker, back umpire. Mr. Ken Stein, back umpire. Mr. Harry Ross, your head linesman. And Mr. Bob Shepard, field judge. Now, number 12, number 65, would you come in together, please? I'm going to allow you. Good. I will allow you to make the call for the opening selections. Call it loud and clear, please. Tails. You're correct, sir. You're correct. It'll be your choice to start the game.
We'll receive.
You'll receive. You will have to kick off then, white team. Which end will you kick off from, please? All right. Receiving. White team, kicking. You're aware of lining up in the 45s with your helmets on, ready to start the game. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
For all the service, fellas.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Now keep the score line.
Enjoy yourself. Move with the 50 crowd.
We will go where the big road bends. We will ride till the tall land ends. Driving on, This is the land of the 50 men, and this is the brand of the 50 men. 50 men. 50 men. 50 men. 50 men. Go where you please for 4,000 miles. Mountains to seas for 4,000 miles. City roads, pretty roads. Travel the road of the 50 men. Enjoy the code of the 50 men. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself. Move with the 50 crowd.
Johnny Esau is standing by for an interview with the commissioner of the CFL, G. Sidney Halter, who will be retiring at the end of this season. I think John is ready.
Well, it's my pleasure to talk to Commissioner Sid Halter of the Canadian Football League. And Sid, this is kind of a sad moment for a lot of us, historic. It's the last Grey Cup game that you will officially oversee, and it's been a long and a sometimes turbulent but a most successful 10 years in which you've been at the helm of the Canadian Football League. And on behalf of fans everywhere, congratulations on that work.
Thank you very much, Johnny. It's been long, but it's been most enjoyable.
And you know, this week has been, well, we've seen a great number of tributes from many people, fans, executives, to Sid, and all of it, of course, was so much deserved. And the words, such words as respect and integrity and leadership kept coming up. And Sid, it gave us a lot of thrill to see those the very varying kind of presentations that were made to you, and I know that did come as a surprise in many cases.
I began to suspect, Johnny, that they were glad to get rid of me.
Well, as Jack well says, and when they were saying all those nice things, if he's so good, why are you letting him go? But it's been a long and a difficult 10 years, and football has come a long way in that time.
I think it has, Johnny. I think it has.
In that time, probably the most difficult decision, maybe the most difficult decision ever made in Canadian sport, was back in '62. The decision you made in the Fog Bowl game. Was it as difficult to you as it seemed to us?
Actually, that was not a difficult decision. I had been apprehensive about fog when we played games in Vancouver. I had devised a plan on which I would proceed in the event fog stopped the game. And when we suddenly met it in Toronto, I proceeded along that plan. It was as simple as that.
But did it seem as difficult to you as it did to us, really? I mean, in retrospect now, did your opinion of that decision change at all?
Not at all, not at all.
One thing, Sid, I've heard you comment in years gone by that you would see the better game when your officials do less. In other words, the less we see of the officials, in your opinion, the better job they were doing. Do you still feel that way?
Well, there was a primary principle that the best officiated game was one in which you did not notice officials. And I hear a lot of complaints about officials being seen so frequently on television. Well, in fact, Johnny, it's only because of the demands of television. You have the camera center on a referee immediately after a call is made, and he is instructed for the purpose and for the benefit of viewers to accentuate his signals so that announcers and broadcasters know exactly what is being called. And the criticism is most unjust and unwarranted by reason of that fact.
Sid, we hope that things will continue in the next 10 years as they have in this 10 years, and on behalf of myself personally, all our people, the fans and everywhere, congratulations on the job you did for Canadian football. We hate to see you go, but I know we won't have to look very far. You'll be there in the stands.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much. Sid Halter.
The 1966 Miss Grey Cup contestants. Beautiful young ladies, with the winner, Miss Delanne Young, Miss Toronto Argonaut. Miss B.C. Lyons, from your right, Sandra Hislop, 5'7", a brunette from Vancouver. Miss Calgary Stampeders, Wendy Allen. Miss Edmonton Eskimo, Margot Dunlap. Miss Winnipeg Blue Bomber is Mirna Klusowicz. There's Margot Dunlap there. And Miss Blue Bomber, lovely young lady, 5'8". She says she just loves folk music. Miss Ottawa Rough Rider, Hendrika Steenbakers, 5'5½", a pretty young blonde. She's a skier. Miss Montreal Alouette, Lynn Aston of Montreal, 5'6", a blonde, and she works in the bank. The second runner-up is Marion Harris, Miss Hamilton Tiger Cat, 20 years old, 5'4", light brown hair, and she goes to the University of Western Ontario. The first runner-up, Joanne Martin, Miss Saskatchewan Rough Rider, 19 years old, 5'5", brown hair, and she's a real Rough Rider fan. And, of course, the winner, Miss Grey Cup, Dale Ann Young, Miss Toronto Argonaut, 18 years old, and she says she wants to go to the University of Toronto. She's in grade 13 right now. She loves all sports. She doesn't really know what she wants to do in the future. The 9 Miss Grey Cup contestants. 2 runners-up to the side of Dale Ann Young, Joanne Martin and Marion Harris. These young ladies had a wonderful week. She's having several pictures taken. Now to the band, the Regina Lions Junior A Marching Band. This is for youngsters 12 years and over. The average age is 13 years old. 71 members, directed by Robert Mosing and Carol Bell. Drill instructor is Fred Rogers. Junior A Marching Band has performed over 20 halftime shows at the Saskatchewan Rough Rider Football Club. Sparkling colors, white and green. They're getting quite a hand.
Saskatchewan Roughrider cheerleaders. Next, the twirling novelty number. 7 Riderettes return to center field with hoop batons, and they're hooping it up for their
Roughriders. And they were brought out by the Grey Cup band. As the Regina band moves off, the Grey Cup band moves in. Special twirls by the Regina girls. Crowd loves it. Now to the Grey Cup band and the Grey Cup Lionettes. This band is directed by Dal Richards, and the choreography is by Grace McDonald. A veteran band, their 4th Grey Cup, and they have performed over 100 halftime shows. 60 members of the Lionettes coming on the field now. This is a wonderful group, well coordinated. The band has a total of 55 members. Grey Cup Lionettes. What a hand they get. Total of 60 members. We'll resume with more of the pregame activities in just a moment.
Now, whatever you do, enjoy yourself.
Enjoy yourself. Move with the 50 crowd. Way up high till you touch the sky. Down below where you go, go, go. Enjoy yourself. Move with the 50 crowd. Build a barn or run a farm. Take a snooze or blow a fuse. You chop a tree or sail the sea. Enjoy yourself. Move with the 50 crowd. Oh, that's the way the story goes. That's the way the legend grows. Across the land, enjoy this brew. Select a friend made for you. Enjoy yourself, enjoy yourself. Move with the 50 crowd.
The two teams are about ready to come onto the field. So to introduce those players to you, here is Fred Scambatti.
The Ottawa Roughriders this afternoon will be wearing black sweaters, and the offensive unit, directed by quarterback Russ Jackson, will be introduced. The center of the Ottawa Roughriders is number 43, Doug Speck, 6'2", 250-pounder, 23 years old, from Windsor, Ontario, an Eastern Conference All-Star. The left guard, number 50, Mike Walderzak, 6'2", 250 pounds, 23 years old, and a rookie who's performed in capable fashion. At the right guard, Roger Perdrix, 6'1", 225 pounds, 22 years old, another rookie, signed by the late assistant coach Bill Smith, an excellent rookie season. At the left tackle, number 66, Chuck Harrison, 6'3", 240, 23 years old, a native of Cornwall, Ontario, in his first season with Ottawa. At the right tackle, the veteran, Mo Racine, number 62, 6'4", 230 pounds, 28 years old, also from Cornwall, Ontario, in his 8th season with the Riders. At the left end, number 75, Ted Watkins, 6'3", 200 pounds, 25 years old, 4th year with Ottawa, and a dangerous pass-receiving threat. At the right end, number 76, Jay Roberts, 6'4½", 220 pounds, 23 years old, in his 3rd season with the Riders, an effective tight end. To the backfield now, and at the left halfback position, number 16, the explosive Bo Scott, 6'3", 205, 23 years old, an integral member of the power-packed backfield. At the right halfback, number 11, Ron Stewart, 5'8", 180-pounder, 30 years old, a 9-year veteran of Ottawa teams, formerly of Queen's University. At the fullback, number 23, Jim Dillard, 6'2", 210 pounds, 27 years old, came to the Riders in 1965 from Calgary, and he has the twin threat of either rushing or as a pass receiver. The flanker is number 26, Whit Tucker, the sparkling pass-catching flanker from Windsor, Ontario, graduate of the University of Western Ontario. Number 12, Russ Jackson, McMaster graduate, 9th year with Ottawa, twice winner of the double national awards. The Ottawa Roughriders offensive unit. Now across the field to the Western champions, the Saskatchewan Roughriders in white sweaters. Number 43, Ted Ernest, the center, in his 6th season with Saskatchewan, 6'3", 240 pounds, 28 years old. At the left guard, number 53, Jack Abenshan, 6 feet, 225, 23 years old, in his 2nd season, a reliable field goal and point-after kicker. At the right guard, number 66, Al Benesic, 6'1", 245, 29 years old, a standout lineman. He's in his 8th season with the Saskatchewan Roughriders. At the left tackle, number 62, Reg Whitehouse, 6 feet, 245 pounds, 33 years old, in his 15th season. This is the 259th game of his career, the first Grey Cup game. The right tackle, 67, Big Clyde Brock, 6'5", 270 pounds, 27 years old, the 2nd season with the Riders, a Western All-Star. At the left end, number 71, Gordon Barwell, 6 feet, 190 pounds, 21 years old, the youngest of the Saskatchewan team, graduate of high school and junior football in Saskatoon. At the right end, number 72, Jim Warden, 6'1", 230 pounds, 24 years old, a tight end who's regarded as a punishing blocker. He's in his 3rd season. At the left halfback, Number 25, Ed Buchanan, 6 feet, 186 pounds, 26 years old. Hobbled by injury through most of the season, he played in the second final game, and he has the threat of outside running or passing. The right halfback, number 21, Alan Ford, 6'1", 193 pounds, 23 years old, born in Regina, offensive back and punter. The fullback, George Reed, number 34, 6 feet, 205 pounds, 26 years old, probably the most talented at his position in Canada. The flanker, number 31, Huey Campbell, 6 feet, 185 pounds, 27 years old, established the CFL record for touchdown passes this season at 17, and he led the Western Conference in scoring. At quarterback, number 23, Ron Lancaster, 5'10", 180 pounds, 27 years old, the Western Football Conference All-Star pivot this year. The Saskatchewan Roughriders offensive team, the 1966 Grey Cup player introductions.
As the teams go to the benches, they're all getting prepared now for the official party to come onto the field. Saskatchewan and Ottawa, fired up and waiting. As everyone pretty well knows, it's an honor at all Grey Cup games to be a member of an official party. And this year, of course, it's doubly, or a double honor, by the presence of Canada's Prime Minister Lester B. Pearson. The Ottawa Roughriders. Frank Clare discussing a few things with them. Final preparations as they wait for the official party to come onto the field. Frank Clare has been showing remarkable coolness during this week. He looks relaxed. You wouldn't know that so much pressure has been put on a coach during an entire season. Saskatchewan Roughriders, of course, coming in loose because they're the underdogs. And they know it. They don't believe it, but they know they're the underdogs. They've come through a very tough Western season, and they're well prepared. The official party now comes to center field. It is made up of course, the Prime Minister of Canada, Lester Pearson, the President of the CFL, Ted Workman of Montreal, the CFL Vice President, Alan McEachran of Vancouver, the CFL Commissioner, G. Sidney Halter, the Lieutenant Governor of Saskatchewan, Mr. Hanbridge, QC, Mayor William Rathie of Vancouver, Mayor Baker of Regina, Mayor Reed of Ottawa, and, of course, Miss Grey Cup, Dale Ann Young of Toronto. Dale Ann will hold the ball. The Prime Minister will do the official kickoff. He looks remarkably fit, and he's enjoying himself. The official kickoff ceremony has been completed. He didn't like that kick. Stand by for the opening kickoff. It'll be coming up shortly.
What makes 50 Ale so very popular? People anywhere.
From the Halliburton Highlands to the Queen Elizabeth Way, the waters of Niagara to ships on Thunder Bay. From Mattawa to Ottawa and places in between, or turn south to Algonquin from Highway 17. Enjoy yourself, move with the 50 crowd, at Campus, Casing, Kirkland Lake, or any place you go. On Nipissing or Nipigon, the people always know. In Windsor or in Waterloo, when happy times prevail, Ontario is switching to the Back Strait Dixie Dale. Enjoy yourself, move with the 50 crowd. Oh, listen to the laughter, the parties and the smiles, as you drive all through the country and travel on some miles. Enjoy yourself, move with the 50 crowd.
Grey Cup Band, under the direction of Del Richards, has played God Save the Queen and O Canada. And with the 1966 Grey Cup contest ready to get underway, let's join the men who'll describe the game for you, Fred Scambatti and Nobby Werkowski.
Our broadcast location on the west side of Empire Stadium. Saskatchewan will defend the zone to my right, the south end. They're white sweaters, green pants, green helmets. The Ottawa Roughriders in black with Gene Gaines, number 22, Bo Scott, number 16, underneath the new novel goalposts in the goal zone to our left at the south end. The weather, 45 degrees, possibly a little higher, very little wind, slight rain. The lights have been on at Empire Stadium. Referee Al Driver of Winnipeg signals time is in. A Benson kicks off. Bo Scott on the 2. Out to the 20, 25. Bruce Bennett, number 1 there, along with DeMelli. After Benson had slowed him up on the 63-yard kickoff and a 31-yard return. And now the offensive unit, the Ottawa Roughriders, wearing their black sweaters, under the direction of number 12, Russ Jackson. 1st and 10 at the Ottawa 33-yard line. Saskatchewan setting up with a 4-man front. Doug Speck is over the ball. Tucker goes wide to the far side. They give us to Dillard, and number 50, Wayne Shaw, moves in for the tackle. Nobby?
If you notice, Russ Jackson used basically the same formation that he used in last week's Hamilton game and got motion coming back to the short side. So evidently they're going to try to spread them out to the wide side and then come back to the short side of the field.
There was an offside on the play. The Saskatchewan Roughriders offside. The Ottawa Roughriders accept the 5-yard penalty. It is 1st and 5 with the ball at the 39. Ottawa won the toss and elected to receive. So this first series of plays, the first opportunity to score, belongs to the Ottawa Roughriders. They're 1st and 5. With the backfield of Dillard, Stewart, Scott, and Tucker. It is Dillard again. A similar play as he cracks out to the 42-yard line. McWhorter, number 61, coming up from the bottom of the pile, along with 79, Gerhardt. The gain was 3.
Fred, I'm sure what Russ Jackson is doing, he's using safe plays and attempting to find out exactly what type of defense Saskatchewan is going to give him.
It is 2nd and 2 with the ball at the 42. Gerhardt, McWhorter, Ernest, or rather Atchison, Reed, and Ekstrand along the front line. Bo Scott, and he may be short of that first down. McWhorter's charging in, number 61. He was a star in the Western Conference Finals against Winnipeg. McWhorter, 6'4", 260 pounds. Referee Al Dryborough looking over across the way. The yardsticks on the far side. It is a first down. The officiating team of Al Dryborough of Winnipeg, Seymour Wilson of Hamilton, Don Barker of Vancouver, Ken Stein of Vancouver, Harry Ross of Montreal, and Bob Shepard of Toronto. 6 officials. Number 77 right in the middle, Dempsey. 26 on this side is DeMelli. 27, Dushinsky on the far side. Flag on the play. Stewart. Garner Ekstrand, number 75, moves in. We'll wait for the official indication. Flag thrown by the official on this side of the field. Saskatchewan indicated offside. So the second penalty in the ball game, both for offsides. Ottawa accept the penalty. It is 1st and 5 with the ball at their own 49. 12 minutes, 57 seconds, the unofficial time remaining in the first quarter.
If you notice what Russ is doing, he's bringing that line out fast and giving Saskatchewan a staccato type cadence. In other words, trying to draw him off, and he has done it twice thus far.
Jackson getting good protection. For Whit Tucker, the arrow complete. At the 15. Touchdown! A 61-yard pass and run play. Tucker had 7 touchdown passes during the season and 1 during the playoffs. Whitman Tucker from Windsor, Ontario.
And if you notice, Tucker had the man beat by a good 10 to 15 yards. Jim Dillard was also open on the sidelines.
Mo Racine will attempt the point after. Obilovich holds. It is not good. There's a pause in the action. And at the 2.5-minute mark, here are those tuning fork goalposts. Racine. That's a good one. Ed Buchanan at the 4. Out to the 25. And pulled down is Bob Obilovich. Pulled his feet out from under him. A 21-yard return on the 61-yard kickoff. And it is 1st and 10 for Saskatchewan as they come out with the ball on their own 25-yard line. Ottawa setting up. Ron Lancaster directs the attack, and there are 3 men flanked to the far side. 2 flankers and a split end. Campbell wide to this side. Lancaster, a hitch pass to Buchanan. Gilbert is right there and brings him down. He refused to be taken out. Billy Joe Booth coming in to assist, the defensive captain, number 65. A 4-yard loss in the play. 2nd and 14. The ball going back to the 22. Ottawa setting up. The front line of Booth from the left. Shirk, Collins, and Brown. The corners are Bloom to the left side, Conroy to the right. Lehman is the middle guard. Again, a spread formation. Lancaster. It's long. Complete to number 71, Barwell. And he's brought down by Gilbert. And the ball goes into the Ottawa 42-yard line.
Brendan, if you notice, they set out the wide side, and they come back to Barwell on the short side. They isolated Barwell on number 24, Gilbert, and he beat him.
A 46-yard advance. Barwell had 27 receptions during the regular season, averaging 19 yards per catch. 1st and 10, Saskatchewan. Ford and Buchanan flank to the far side. Campbell on this side. The ends are tight. George Reed is the fullback. Lancaster. Into the flat, and that's a wobbler for Campbell. Joe Poirier is there to knock it away.
And Campbell had Poirier beat. The only thing that Lancaster hung the ball up is just a little too long, and Poirier, having the experience that he does have, just reacted back to the football and went through the man to get to the ball.
There's Joe Poirier. And there was good pressure up front from Conroy and Brown as they crashed in from the right side. It is 2nd down with the ball at the Ottawa 42. Saskatchewan in possession. The Ottawa Roughriders leading 6-0. 10 minutes, 47 seconds remaining in the first quarter. At Empire Stadium in Vancouver. Barwell to the far side. Campbell is flanked to this side. Campbell. Lancaster. Again, another pass that seemed to go errant. It was intended for Barwell. Obilovich covering. And Nabi, is Ron having a little trouble with that ball? That's 2 passes in a row that seem to have got away from him.
Well, in a case of this type, although the field is in good condition, occasionally that ball resting on the grass will get a little slick. There won't be mud on it or anything else. It'll just be a little slick. And then Lancaster might be a little nervous, and his palms might be a little wet.
Ford to punt. Klein and Gilbert in the end zone. Klein at the 4. Garner Ekstrand was first there, and then Turner Ness, number 43, came crashing in to complete the tackle. There was no return on that 38-yard punt. A little over Ford's playoff average of 34, but a little under his 39.6 recorded during the season.
Fred, and if you've noticed, these two ball clubs are hitting with determined drive, and certainly in a game of this type, neither Coach Keys nor Coach Clare has to use any type of psychology to get these ball clubs up. They're emotionally prepared for this ball game.
Dumelli, Fawcett, Bennett, West and Jashinsky are out there. Ron Stewart gets up to the 9-yard line before he's brought down. Number 77, Dempsey, the principal tackler. It is second down. Almost 5 yards the advance. 2nd and 5. Rough Riders leading 6-0 in this first quarter. That's the Eastern Rough Riders. Jackson has the football. Number 61, McQuarters, crashing across, along with Shaw. But the advance good enough to move the sticks, and it's a first down. The ball at the 15-yard line as Saskatchewan set up. 26 Dumelli, 79 Gerhardt, 50 is Wayne Shaw. A look at some of the 36,000 plus who are in attendance at Empire Stadium in Vancouver for this National Football Final, being brought to you in color. Jim Dillard. Number 41, Ron Atchison, came across. 12, West was there, along with Ekstrand.
Fred, if you notice, Jackson continues going to the short side of the field. The reason for this being that Saskatchewan is overloading to the white side of the field, and he's trying to get to their weakness.
The gain was 2, 2nd and 8. Ball at the 17. Flags down all over. McWhorter initiated the play. Jackson follows through as he attempted for Stewart with Dumelli covering. And we'll await the official's decision. Earlier, Ottawa had benefited from 2 penalties for offside. Now let us see what the call is. Saskatchewan again, the culprits. It'll cost them 5 yards. So it'll come on for a 5-yard advance. We look at the sidelines. Coach Frank Clare with a fedora. And the communication with Al Bruno, the spotter upstairs. Assistant coach Al Bruno. A 2nd and 3. Shaw, Gerhardt, McWhorter, Atchison, Reed, and Ekstrand along the front with Dempsey, 77, the linebacker. It is Bo Scott. He evades Dumelli. Cossett comes over with an excellent tackle. Bob Cossett, the defensive all-star in the Western Conference. It is a first down. Scott during the season averaged 4.6 yards every time he carried the ball. First down with the ball out beyond the 25-yard line of the Ottawa Rough Riders, who appear intent on using up as much time early in the game here by keeping the ball on the ground outside of that one scoring play for 61 yards. Now Russ Jackson. For Watkins, incomplete, loose. Double coverage down there with Weston Cossett. Nobby?
If you notice, Cossett is a little shaken up. And you saw the determination of Cossett to react to the ball. And this is a great thing, because certainly without the deep pass defense that the Saskatchewan Rough Riders have, that pass would have been complete.
25 years old, 5 feet 10, 185-pounder in his 3rd season, Bob Cossett, number 24. So it comes back as a second down just outside the Ottawa 25. They lead 6-0. 6 minutes, 31 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Russ Jackson spreads his offense. McWhorters again. But an offside. Atchison also going through. Gerhard making the tackle. Again, Saskatchewan offside, showing their great eagerness to get off the ball. So it'll come a second down again with the ball outside the 30.
Russ is a master at using the cadence to help guide them along to draw the Saskatchewan Ball Club offside.
It is second and a little over 5 with the ball at the Ottawa 30. Jackson. Intercepted by Dale West. He's got an escort of Bruce Bennett. And Russ Jackson knocks him out of bounds. But there's a great play by Dale West. A 38-yard return. Saskatchewan had 17 interceptions during the season. And that is the first of this season for Dale West. A mighty important one indeed, and it gives Saskatchewan an excellent scoring opportunity.
Fred, what happened was Ted Watkins was going out the sideline. He tripped over Duzinski.
First down at the 8, the Saskatchewan Roughriders. George Reed cracks into the middle. The number 63, Ted Collins, moves in to make the tackle. And Reed, as I mentioned in the pregame introduction, probably the most talented at the fullback position in Canada. Gained 1,409 yards during the season, and the Ottawa Roughriders in their black uniforms fully aware of it. The ball at the 6. The gain was 3. Second and goal. Center Ted Ernest, a Western Conference All-Star this season, over the ball. Lancaster still has the football. Touchdown! Warden, Jim Warden. Warden's first of the playoffs. He had 3 during the regular season. Jim Warden. In his 3rd season. Now Evanson will try for the point after. He was good on 37 of 42 during the season, and it's good. Right through the Tully goalposts. So the Saskatchewan Roughriders now lead the Ottawa Roughriders 7-6 with 4 minutes 56 seconds remaining.
Fred, watch this beautiful fake with Lancaster and Reed. There goes the left end. Notice how it held the defensive linebackers and the halfback. Excellent call.
A well-executed play, Nobby, indeed. Gains number 22, and Bo Scott go back to receive the kickoff by Jack Evanson. As the Western Roughriders lead 7-6. Excellent shot from our end zone camera as we prepare for this kickoff. Still in the first quarter at Empire Stadium. A good kick. Into the end zone goes Bo Scott. Gets out to the 15-yard line before he ran into a traffic jam. Number 64, Beenan, along with Ekstrand and Abension in there. And this fellow not only is talented as far as kicking from the field, but he is a very, very functional lineman. 1st and 10 for the Ottawa Roughriders at their own 15. Saskatchewan leading Ottawa 7-6. Ron Stewart goes wide to the far side. Bo Scott picks up a couple of 3 yards. Ekstrand, the principal tackler. Ekstrand, number 75. The Ottawa Roughriders. Watkins and Roberts the ends, Harrison and Racine the tackles, Walterzak and Fredericks the guards, Speck is the center, and they'll go against that Saskatchewan defense, anchored by number 41, Ron Atchison, 15-year veteran. 2nd and 7. A handback counter to Ron Stewart. He was tripped up by Ekstrand. Cossett makes the cover, and Dempsey also there to initiate the tackle. There's request for the yardsticks as the ball is just nose to the 25-yard line. A look at Eagle Keys. Receiving communication from his double set of spotters upstairs in the Ottawa Rough Rider bench. It is a first down. Jack Goda and Jim Duncan up top relaying messages to Eagle Keys for this Saskatchewan defensive unit along with their offensive squad. 1st and 10 Ottawa at their own 25. 3 minutes, 26 seconds remaining in the first quarter unofficially. Saskatchewan leading Ottawa 7-6. Tucker is flanked to the far side. Dillard in motion. Scott has the football. Number 50. Wayne Shaw moved in. Refused to be taken out of the way by blocking. Restricts the gain to approximately.
Labatt's Party Case. Have you tried it? It's 2 kinds of brew in one case. 1250 ale and 12 Pilsner Lager. Why put the 2 together? Well, a party case costs less than if you buy the 2 separately. It's easier to carry. But more than that, it pleases 2 different kinds of people. Those that like ale and those that like lager. Maybe you and your wife are that way, or the folks who come over to a party. That's why we call it Labatt's Party Case.
Roll out the party, roll out the party. Labatt's U2 brew, party case. It's a happy combination of 2 in 1 case. Labatt's U2 brew, party case.
Save a little money and please a lot of people. Bring home 1250 ale and 12 Pilsner Lager in Labatt's 2 brew party case.
Eagle Keys has made his point on the sidelines. 1960 was the last time Eagle Keys was here. And he now has removed Wloziuk and reinserted Cossett number 24. So whatever repairs were needed. 2nd down and 8. Ball at the 27-yard line of the Ottawa Rough Riders. Russ Jackson has the football. He takes off. He's a good rusher. Gets by Bennett. And then pulled down by number 50, who reacted, Wayne Shaw, with good second effort, coming back to make the tackle. A 15-yard advance, and Jackson rushed for 396 yards during the season and a 6.1 average. Russ Jackson.
Fred, that was an excellent maneuver by Russ. That was to be a pass. He saw that his receivers were covered. The defense was trying to contain him from getting outside, so he just ducked inside, made a couple of 2 or 3 good moves, and was away.
1st and 10 Ottawa at their own 43. Ron Stewart gets by Atchison, breaks out to the 49-yard line. Dempsey coming across from his linebacker position to bring him down. Stewart, 180-pounder. And when he hits into you, it feels more like he has an extra 20 or 30 pounds going with him. The gain was 7. 2nd down at the 50-yard line, and 3 for the Ottawa Rough Riders, who trailed by a single point with 1 minute 30 seconds remaining in the first quarter. Whittaker comes wide to this side, and Watkins is flanked, or spread rather. Dillard crashes out for the first down. Atchison, number 41, making the tackle. 36-year-old Ron Atchison, combining with Dempsey. Atchison, in his 15th season, played junior football with the Saskatoon Hilltops. It is 1st down with the ball at the Ottawa 54. Saskatchewan setting up. Watkins again splits. Stewart as a slot back. Jackson. For Tucker. It is complete. Tucker catching the ball inbound. His second sparkling reception of the game as Jackson finds him on the 18-yard advance. Whit Tucker.
An excellent maneuver by Tucker, taking the man deep. He broke out, then up, and then broke it out again. And just caught the ball and managed to stay in bounds long enough for it to be considered complete.
Less than 1 minute remaining in the first quarter. 1st and 10 Ottawa on the Saskatchewan 38-yard line. An overcast day, rather mild at Empire Stadium. Bo Scott. And number 26, Dumelli, comes across to make the tackle. Larry Dumelli, 190-pounder, taking on Scott, big 205-pound back of the Ottawa Roughriders. The gain was a yard, 2nd and 9. Ball just outside the 37. Russ Jackson. There's Saskatchewan. Roughriders of the Plains as they set their defense. West, Bennett, Cossett, and Dumelli, the 4 deep. Dushinsky has moved up. Russ Jackson. Ekstrand is after him. Out to Jay Roberts. Number 50, Shaw, comes in. And who comes up with the football but Saskatchewan? And it was number 77, Dempsey. Well, Nobby, you've got to hang on to that football all the time.
Jackson was trying to hit Whit Tucker deep. The defensive halfback picked him up. Jackson came out, saw that Roberts was open, threw it to him, and Roberts was trying to get back to the inside, but he really got jolted.
Well, the first quarter is complete in this 1966 Grey Cup game, and as the teams change ends, the score of this Grey Cup game, Saskatchewan 7 and Ottawa 6.
Don't keep a great beer waiting. Get together with Canada's great light beer. Labatt's Pilsner. Pour yourself a Pilsner. Find out why it's Canada's great light beer. Labatt's Pilsner Lager. Canada's great light beer. Pilsner, Canada's great light beer.
Ready to commence the second quarter of play. Fred Scambatti at Empire Stadium in Vancouver, along with Nobby Wierkowski, Art Darch, and Ron Andrews. Saskatchewan, 1st and 10. At their own 33 after recovering a fumble. Lancaster directing the offense. Ed Buchanan. A block from Benesett. Gilbert comes over to drive him into bounds.
We can see Ed Buchanan here. Watch the move. He's trying to use his guard, trying to cut up. And then he breaks to the outside.
The gain was approximately 5. Ron Lancaster getting good protection. To Huey Campbell. Joe Porter was there to bring him down. But it is a first down as the ball comes up to the 50-yard line of the Saskatchewan Roughriders. A 12-yard advance. Ottawa had 8 first downs to 2 by Saskatchewan in the first quarter. 63 yards rushing, 84 yards passing for Ottawa. Saskatchewan 2 yards rushing, 49 yards passing. Each quarterback was 3 for 5. George Reed. Billy Joe Booth, after Shirk had taken a shot at him at the line of scrimmage. Billy Joe Booth, the principal tackler.
And that was being off tackle play. We'll see him cut back to the inside. Here comes, he gets the ball. Now, you see the move there? Watch the drive. Pick up that extra yard.
2nd and 6, the ball in Ottawa territory, just on their side of center field. No slow motion plays, graphically showing us just what happened. Ed Buchanan. Number 22, Gene Gaines, the rover, coming over. And a little flare-up as that ball was shot smartly back at Obilovich. Referee Al Dryborough wants to take a good look. The ball is at the 50, and they'd have to get it into the 49 for a first down. It'll be 3rd and 1. And now what will Eagle Keys do? Can he afford to gamble with the ball in this field position? Just a little over a yard. Number 16, Dorsch, is coming into the game. Henry Dorsch. Buchanan is out. Ekstrand coming in, and number 71, Barwell, departs for the bench. Ed Buchanan, number 25, getting some of that Empire Stadium turf away from his eyes. Specks of it anyway. A gap 8 along the front. Lancaster will try for the 1 yard. 3rd and 1. Go with your best, George Reed. He has the first down. Gene Gaines making the tackle with help from Klein. Let's look again.
Let's see the drive, the power, as Reed breaks through. There it is, he gets the football. Now watch. Two immovable objects meeting one another.
1st and 10, Saskatchewan at the Ottawa 47. Campbell flanked to the far side, and Barwell is a split end on this side. Ford is a slot back, number 21. George Reed again. Tripped up by Marshall Shirk, and then Kenny Lehman coming in to complete the tackle. The gain is 4, 2nd and 6 as the ball is at the Ottawa 42.
Defensively, Ottawa is using a deep zone defense, and this is done primarily to try to keep Campbell inside the defense and not to get his sideline patterns that he likes to run so well.
Once again, Campbell flanks wide to the far side. The ends are tight or into the formation, although the spacing is a little wider overall. Lancaster to the sidelines. For Buchanan, complete as he evaded the cover of Poirier and Klein. And this is something Buchanan, he can run to the outside, or he represents a pass threat.
Certainly Lancaster threw the ball well, but Buchanan made the big play, as we'll see, because the ball was on the other side of him, and he had to run under. There he goes to the sideline. Now he's going to go up. Now watch the move that he had to make. Over the shoulder catch, and that's probably the most difficult catch in football to make.
A 23-yard advance, 1st and 10, Saskatchewan. The Ottawa 19. They lead 7-6 in the 2nd quarter. Lancaster has the football, play pass action for Campbell, and it's incomplete. And once again, Lancaster displaying excellent mechanics with his faking there to retain the ball and attempting to give Campbell time to evade his cover.
And the defensive halfback actually hates to see these play passes because he has to read run, and all he has to do is hesitate, let that offensive man get too close to him, and he's beat.
2nd and 10 at the 18 for Saskatchewan. Plenty of motion. Lancaster searching. Touchdown! Ford! It went through Bilivich's hand. And Alan Ford, with a tremendously alert play, was there to catch the football. Well, a bad break for Obilovich, who's an excellent defensive back. And a good one, a good play, number 21, Ford. There he is, Alan Ford. Abenson sets to kick. It is good. There's a pause in the action. And at the 5-minute mark of the second quarter, the score is Saskatchewan 14, Ottawa 6.
Good afternoon. I'm John Murray, Vice President of Labatt's, and like many of you, my wife and I and a few friends are watching the game at home. I hope you're enjoying the game as much as we are. In fact, I hope you've enjoyed all the games this year. It has been our pleasure to be co-sponsors of CFL football on television for the past 5 years. We at Labatt's enjoy very much bringing this fine Canadian sport to you. Thanks to people like you, it seems that our efforts are appreciated because your support of our products has been most gratifying. We at Labatt's want to express our thanks to you, and we look forward to seeing you all next season. In the meantime, may we wish you and yours a very happy holiday season.
Ottawa assessed 15 yards for roughing on the last play. Look into the end zone at Gaines and Scott are back there as Abenson sets to kick off from the Ottawa 50. Back to play. Gene Gaines from Peter Thompson. Number 77 there first, and that was Dempsey along with Bennett making the tackle. 48-yard kickoff, 23-yard return. Let's look at that play, Nobby.
Here it is. Watch Obilovich go for the ball. Just a little too high, went right through his hands, and Ford made no mistake with the ball.
First and 10 for the Ottawa Roughriders at their own 25 as they trail 14-6 with 10 minutes and 15 seconds remaining until the halftime intermission. And a tremendous show at halftime, I'm sure. Russ Jackson drops back. Still searching, and it's for Whitman Tucker. Complete. At the 25, he evades West. Touchdown. An electrifying play. 85 yards. Second touchdown for Tucker of the game, combining with Russ Jackson.
Fred, here we have Tucker on the isolated camera. Now watch. Really, he's not to be the pass receiver. Then he sees Jackson come out of the pocket, and immediately he breaks free. So really, it was a makeshift play. A great move by Tucker, and certainly a perfect pass by Jackson.
Such are the moments of greatness manufactured.
And we saw West just miss him, and Tucker with his great speed just broke loose.
Now the try for the extra point. We'll all look at it through the telepost. Mo Racine. It is good. So Racine with his first conversion of the Grey Cup game. Saskatchewan 14, Ottawa 13. As we look through the goalposts, and while the Hamilton Tiger Cats couldn't make it, here's a replay. And let's look at Jackson.
About.
It's another look at it. What a play. Well worth seeing again.
And only because of Jackson's ability to be able to get away from the big rush that Saskatchewan exerted on him.
One of the 24 footballs on hand for this game has departed the scene. A fan has it. Ed Buchanan has this football after the kickoff. Keen Gaines brings him down at the 24-yard line along with Gilbert. A 24-yard return of Racine's 65-yard kickoff. The ball comes nose to the 25-yard line. The Ottawa Roughriders now dig in with their defensive unit. Saskatchewan 1st and 10, and they lead by a single point. Ed Buchanan, number 20, Bloom, crashes across to make the tackle. Mike Bloom. Coach Eagle Keys, Garner Ekstrand. Eagle receiving information from his assistants, Gota and Duncan, who are up on the roof. He employs the both of them up there, and Frank Clare peering out on the scene. Trainer Art Sargent in the background. To George Reed, incomplete, but there was good pressure as Booth, Brown, and Bloom were in there to harass Ron Lancaster. So it'll be 3rd down. The punting team replacements come on as Klein and Gilbert drift back to their own zone inside their own 50. This is Ford's second kick. Alan Ford. Ottawa have not yet had to punt from scrimmage. It's Gilbert. Oh, and Jack Amundsen came crashing through. Example of a football player this fellow is. A Western Football Conference All-Star. A meager 2-yard return on the 28-yard punt, and Ottawa are 1st and 10 inside of the Saskatchewan zone, just inside center field. Saskatchewan setting up. 14-13. Saskatchewan leading Ottawa. 8 minutes, 29 seconds remaining until halftime. Whit Tucker goes to the wide side, Stewart to this side. Watkins is the split end to the right. Motion. Russ Jackson. Gerhardt was with him, intended for Watkins, and the play by Gerhardt assisted materially in preventing a completion. Dumelli covered off.
Watkins had him beat. Fortunately for Saskatchewan, Gerhardt came and exerted tremendous pressure on Jackson.
Jackson is 4 for 7 and 169 yards. Of course, those 2 explosive plays to Tucker, both for touchdowns. It is 2nd down. Tucker again wide to the far side and Stewart this side. Jackson flag on the play. Screen, Dillard. Number 79, Gerhardt. Make that extra, number 75, along with Dempsey, but the flag on the play. And referee Al Dryborough calls timeout. It is an offside against the Saskatchewan Roughriders, who continue to display their eagerness along the win line. Their 4th offside. Russ Jackson, there's an excellent look. McMaster University graduate who turned his back on a Rhodes Scholarship, stay in Canada, pursue a football career, vice principal of a high school in Ottawa. Here is the call. Saskatchewan are offside. It was 2nd and 10 from just inside center field, and now it'll be 2nd and 5 from just inside the Saskatchewan 50. (14-13), Saskatchewan over Ottawa. 7 minutes, 44 seconds remaining. There's a look at that rugged front wall of the Saskatchewan Roughriders and number 41, Ron Atchison, and number 61, Ed McWhorter. He came to the Saskatchewan Roughriders in mid-season, and he's played very well. Jackson to Dillard, who falls in that ball. It is 3rd down. The play called there, and Dillard making the recovery, but the alert, Cosset moving in just in case.
Fred, we can see here it'll be the would be the option. And there it is. Jackson didn't quite get the ball out deep enough because he had pressure. Just as he was flipping the ball, he got hit.
Ken Reed coming in to exert a good deal of pressure. Klein with his first punt of the game. Kossett and Wloziak are back. Wloziak to the left. That's Kossett. Peter Thompson had a look at him, and then Jay Roberts comes in to complete the tackle. The ball, 1st and 10 for the Saskatchewan Roughriders inside their own 15. So speedy were members of the punt return team. They got down to restricted to a 3-yard return after an excellent 46-yard punt by Bill Klein. A little more than Bill's seasonal average of 37.3, and during the playoffs, it shrunk to 32.5. 1st and 10, Saskatchewan. George Reed. Short gain. Marshall Shirk, along with Billy Joe Booth, making the tackle. Ernest is the center for Saskatchewan. Benson and Benesick the guards. Whitehouse and Brock the tackles, with Barwell and Warden the ends. Ron Lancaster along with Buchanan, Reed, Ford, and Campbell, the backfield complement. It is 2nd down and 7. On the statue with Buchanan, trying to direct traffic. Bloom in there to upend him. And Shirk coming over along with Gaines. It is 3rd down again. A stubborn Ottawa defensive unit yielding short yardage. Comes out, has 3rd and 7 with the ball at the 18-yard line of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and this opportunity for scoring prevented by Ottawa, as Saskatchewan will punt once again. The punt return pair of Gilbert to the near side, Klein to the top of the screen. Gilbert. A whole wave of Saskatchewan tacklers. Number 43, Ted Ernest, first there to body check Gilbert to the turf. Tom Bainan also there. He came to the Roughriders from the Hamilton Tiger Cats this season. Young Canadian player. So it is inside the 45-yard line. 1st and 10 for the Ottawa Roughriders after the 27-yard punt and a return of a yard. 14-13, Saskatchewan over Ottawa. 5 minutes, 33 seconds remaining in the second quarter. Whit Tucker comes to the short side, and the ends are tight. The handback counter with Ron Stewart. And number 27, Dushinsky, was there. Number 75, Ekstrand, completing the cover. Dushinsky has moved up to be more a part of the linebacking front wall complement rather than the 5 deep. However, this will depend on situations. 27, Dushinsky. Ted Dushinsky played minor football with the Saskatoon Hilltops in his 2nd season with the Riders. Tucker now goes to the far side, and Watkins splits to that side. Scott in motion. Jackson. For Tucker, incomplete, as Dumelli came across to cover off. And Jackson disgruntled with himself, and that helmet bearing the number 12, Russ Jackson, is the original helmet. He's had it ever since he joined the Roughriders, and he refuses to let anyone tamper with it. His shoulder pads, in like manner, as a matter of fact, they've gone out of stock. They don't make that style anymore. But he will not have them replaced. Klein sets the kick. Wloziak and Kossett. Wloziak is in the end zone. Klein, what looks like another good punt. Wloziak, and this could be an important point as he surrenders the point. Covered off by number 51. Roger Perdrix, a 51-yard punt by Klein. This is the best punting I've seen by Klein, Nobby, in a few seasons.
That adrenaline must be running right down his leg, because certainly he's kicking like he hasn't at all this year.
14-14. 4 minutes and 19 seconds remaining in the second quarter. Saskatchewan 1st and 10 at their own 25. George Reed, and despite a considerable amount of traffic, he picks up 5 yards. Conroy coming in, number 25, along with number 60, Bob Brown. Just while we have a moment here, I'd like to salute all our shut-in friends. Those are on the sick and ailing list, along with the rest of our viewers from coast to coast in Canada who are with us for this game from Empire Stadium. An extravagant fake by Lancaster to Warden. Complete. Gilbert and Gaines making the tackle. Jim Warden. Navi, another fine reception. We've seen a lot of them in this game, but my, oh my, a 42-yard advance.
Fred, let's have a look at that now. There's a little confusion here with Buchanan and Warden. He gets knocked off. Oh, maybe we can't see it. Right in there. Just enough to delay Gene Gaines from covering Warden.
Warden, 28 receptions during the season. It is 1st and 10, the Saskatchewan Roughriders at the Ottawa 38. George Reed tripped up by Marshall Shirk, who just moved an arm up. It was not in illegal fashion, but he just moved an arm up and brought him down. And look at that giant balloon there. My, oh my. Well, let us pause. And at the 12-minute mark of the second quarter, the score, Saskatchewan 14 and Ottawa 14.
Be ready when friends drop in. Get together with Canada's great light beer, Labatt's Pilsner. Be sure to have plenty of Canada's great light beer on hand. Your guests will enjoy it. Labatt's Pilsner, Canada's great light beer. Pilsner, Canada's great light beer.
2nd and 7 after the 3-yard advance to the 35. Lancaster is 7 for 11 in passing, and there's a momentary pause as one of the officials moves out to retrieve something on the field. And now we're back to action. Lancaster in a good protective pocket. For Campbell, incomplete, and it was tipped away. Conroy, and then Lehman moving across. And it goes as an incompletion.
Fred, we can see here Huey Campbell with that unusual gait. He's picking out the open area. There Conroy just tipped it, and Campbell just failed to hold on to the football. But he picked out the open area.
It is 3rd down. Evention. Ron Lancaster will hold, and he is in excellent position as far as his direction away from those posts. It'll be from the 42. Evention. It is not good. Gilbert at the goal line. Clyde Brock, number 67, drives him to the turf. Brock crashing in there. Prime Minister Pearson along with CFL President Ted Workman to the right, and they must certainly have been impressed with that play. General Manager Jake Goddard of Hamilton rather perplexed. Brock, 270 pounds, moving in on Gilbert, who is 195. It is 1st and 10 for the Roughriders. The Eastern Roughriders at their own 5. A tie ball game, 14-14, with 2 minutes, 20 seconds remaining in the second quarter. Ron Stewart, he counters. Number 77, Dempsey, along with number 75, Ekstrand. A grudging 4 yards, 2nd and 6 as the ball comes to the 9. Dempsey, 6'2", 230-pounder in his 2nd season with the Riders, the Saskatchewan Roughriders. There you see him. And that's the way the Ottawa Roughriders see that Saskatchewan defense as it sets up. Russ Jackson with the football. For Tucker again, with Dumelli shadowing him down the field. Her 26s. So it'll come back as 3rd down. And Nobby, Klein has had 2 excellent punts. This is a time where one would stand Ottawa in good stead.
Certainly, because he has to kick Ottawa out of their own end, because if he fails to get a good one here, Saskatchewan will have good field position, and I'm sure Lancaster will attempt to put the ball across that goal line rather than just play and run out the clock.
Wolaziak to the left, Cosset to the top of your picture, and you'll see it from the end zone camera as Klein sets to punt. Wolaziak. Peter Thompson body checks him with help from number 51, Roger Perdrix. So with 1 minute and 16 seconds remaining in the 2nd quarter, the ball at the Ottawa 41, just outside of the 41, after the 41-yard punt. 11-yard return by Wolaziak. Valuable return by Gene Wolaziak. Former Winnipeg Blue Bomber who was with them in 1957 in a Grey Cup game. That was the last Grey Cup game played at Varsity Stadium in Toronto. Ron Lancaster, as the crowd enthuses. Look out for Booth. Billy Joe Booth, number 65, persisted to get around the defensive pocket. Nobby, that was a fine play by Booth.
There's no doubt he came and he pursued the football, because if he hadn't made the tackle, I think Lancaster would have gotten outside of the defense, and certainly anytime the quarterback is outside, his the defensive halfbacks are going to have to stay with the pass receivers just a little closer.
2nd and 22 after Saskatchewan sustained a 12-yard loss on Booth's fine defensive play. Ron Lancaster still has the football. Screen to Warden. And Mike Bloom fought off a block to make the tackle. And another superb defensive move. Bloom refused to be taken out of there. Less than 60 seconds remaining. Benesic trying mightily to move him without success. So it is 3rd down as the ball comes to the Ottawa 53. And those 2 defensive moves, after Saskatchewan were in excellent field position, have certainly assisted Ottawa greatly. Now it is up to Ford. 25 seconds remaining in the 2nd quarter. Gilbert and Klein are back. Gilbert to the left, Klein to the right. Klein is 27. Alan Ford. Gilbert stops the clock as he steps out of bounds with Gerhardt right there. Clock stopped at 9 seconds. So the offensive unit of Ottawa comes on, the defensive unit of Saskatchewan, as Gilbert heads for the bench. A 42-yard punt. Bob Quintrell and Bob Switzer will be on hand at halftime. Bring us all the detail of what I'm sure will be a sparkling halftime show at this 1966 Grey Cup game at Empire Stadium in Vancouver, being brought to you in color. First down with the ball at the Ottawa 12. Jim Dillard. McWhorter stopped him up, and then Dempsey moves in. That completes the first 30 minutes of play in this Grey Cup game. With the score, Ottawa 14, Saskatchewan 14, And we'll return to the Grey Cup activity at Empire Stadium. Halftime at Empire Stadium in Vancouver, the 1966 Grey Cup game. Now here is Bob Quintrell.
Right, Fred, and as you mentioned earlier, we should have a halftime show to match the sparkling football that we've seen so far in this Grey Cup game. Bob Switzer is here with me to describe these halftime activities. Bob?
Well, I tell you, for our friends right across the country, a good old-fashioned Grey Cup trainload of Prince Edward Island red mud would be in order today. The halftime Grey Cup program is taking as its theme this year the events and symbols concerned with Canada's 100th birthday. Dal Richards, the show's producer, has worked very closely with the Federal Centennial Commission in its preparation. Now, what's a birthday without a cake? So, let me give you the recipe for this one. I happen to be a bit of a cook on the side. First, on a slightly soft West Coast field, you position 100 members of the internationally known Vancouver Junior Band under the direction of Gordon Olson, along with 55 members of the Grey Cup Stadium Band. You decorate with 6-foot-high, 100 of them, candles, and festoon liberally with multicolored ribbon. The candles march in, the fans are excited, and whether it's from east or west, we can only have a good time at this 1966 Grey Cup Classic. I'll tell you one thing, the flames aren't lit in these particular candles, but oh boy, they were sure lit last night in Vancouver. And if you're going to have a proper birthday cake, well, you've got to have the ribbon and the tinsel and all of the decorations that go along with it. So, our 100 candles pick out the festoons. And with our bands in formation, the candles moving out to form the inner circle of our birthday cake, I think it's only right that we have the appropriate music. So here it is, our Grey Cup Stadium Band. From coast to coast, an anticipated happy birthday.
And the halftime score at the Grey Cup from Empire Stadium, Saskatchewan 14, Ottawa 14.
Don't keep a great beer waiting. Get together with Canada's great light beer. Labatt's Pilsner. Pour yourself a Pilsner. Find out why it's Canada's great light beer. Labatt's Pilsner Lager. Canada's great light beer. Pilsner, Canada's great light beer.
And now, with the regular stadium band in their red jackets and old-fashioned white boater hats, and the Vancouver Junior Band in their dark, burnt orange, beefeater uniforms, forming the official emblem of Canada's centennial, and with the addition of the beautifully disciplined Jesters, Majorette Corps under Louise Olson, here is the first public performance of the official centennial song, composed incidentally by one of Toronto's favorite musical citizens, Bobby Jimby. Here are the Jesters in their traditional court jester uniforms with, for this particular Grey Cup occasion, specially designed court jester batons.
Right, Bob, the first public performance of our official centennial song, also known as Canada, by Bobby Jimby. We'll continue with halftime Grey Cup activity from Vancouver shortly.
This half of Canadian professional football was brought to you by Labatt's, brewers of 50 Ale and Pilsner Lager Beer.
This is the CBC Television Network.
Channel 6, CBLT, Toronto.
Canadian professional football. This half brought to you by General Motors Products of Canada Limited on behalf of your authorized Pontiac dealer.
Well, what a colorful scene this week. In August next year, as part of British Columbia's contribution to our national celebrations, we're going to stage the International Abbotsford Air Show, the largest ever held in this hemisphere. So, with precision and high stepping, the result of weeks of faithful training under the direction of Vancouver's outstanding choreographer Grace MacDonald, here are the 60 Lionettes dressed as space cadets, and we are indeed going beyond the blue horizon.
Bob, overhead, a formation of Seabees in a formation fly-past as a salute to this Grey Cup halftime activity.
I'll tell you one thing, Canada has certainly come of age as an air-minded nation since John McCurdy made his historic flight over the frozen surface of Bredor Lake in Nova Scotia back in 1909. Look at these.
The old reliable Seabees overhead, and on the field, a replica of an airplane, formed by this massed band.
There they go. What I presume is a Grey Cup fly past.
The Seabees off into the distance just as the band ends. We'll continue with Grey Cup activity in just a moment.
Pontiac, 1967. Here is what 67 is all about. Brilliantly Pontiac new. Boldly Pontiac new. Like Strato cheap. And Laurentian, high styling, all new, big value. That's all Pontiac. Look closely at Parisienne, now with the new fashion look in a sports sedan. Parisienne. While here, Pontiac 2+2, the new full-size adventure car. 2+2, a car to quicken your heart. Now, the ultimate Pontiac Grand Parisienne. New hideaway headlights. New luxury. And every 67 Pontiac gives you a host of outstanding new safety features as standard equipment. Ride the Pontiac winning streak.
All right, a Grey Cup welcome now to next year's Pan American Games in Winnipeg with the band playing the marching mambo. Here is a lovely little girl, Marlene Jackson, who was chosen as Canada's Indian Princess. By the way, Marlene is the North American baton champion with what I understand is 85 trophies and 75 medals to her credit.
The band and the majorettes spelling out Pan Am. Of course, the Pan Am Games. And in the background, you can see one of the floats from last night's Grey Cup parade moving slowly around the perimeter of the track, the Centennial, or if you prefer, the Confederation train.
You know, each time the Grey Cup comes to Vancouver, those of us who live out here on Canada's west coast insist that the old town will never be the same. But I think it's going to happen to Winnipeg. The city of Winnipeg will certainly be the center of attention from July 22nd to August 7th next year with the largest sporting event ever held in North America. Over 400 events in 24 different sports and athletes from the United States, South and Central America, and the West Indies. Oh, the Red River Valley will no longer echo the vastness of the lonely prairies. There she is, Marlene Jackson. Credit to Winnipeg. Now, let's have a swift change of pace, and this is the first opportunity we've really had to see how beautifully disciplined everybody is. A cast that is considerable, 235 of them. And since the emphasis for our 1966 Grey Cup halftime festivities has been placed on next year's centennial, the program's finale points to the biggest celebration of all, Expo 67 in Montreal from April 28th to October 27th. And more than 70 nations will show Canadians their traditions, cultures, their industrial development, their hopes for the future. We, in turn, will be showing our best to the world. So from Newfoundland to Vancouver Island, by going to Expo, we really will be able to see the world in 1,000 acres and sample all kinds of the delights to be found in La Belle Provence. So for the halftime wind-up, the Grey Cup Lionettes, the Jesters, and a salute to Expo 67 with a flag parade of nations, and the bands play Canada on the march.
See them, Bob, the massed flags of the some 70 nations, which will be going to Expo in Montreal.
Well, there you have it. Grey Cup halftime. And a credit to Canada, to all of us at large.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, the Prime Minister of Canada, the Right Honourable Lester B. Pearson.
I'm speaking to you from the Grey Cup game in Vancouver between Ottawa and Regina. This is more than a football game. It is a national institution. And it is a good time and a good place to remind us that in about a month now, we will be celebrating in Canada not only a new year, but a new century for Canada. Our centennial will begin. There will be many exciting celebrations during this year. Among them, perhaps the most exciting will be Expo 67 in Montreal, Canada's World's Fair, at which 70 nations will pay tribute to Canada and what it has done during the first century. And I hope all Canadians will manage to get to Montreal for our World's Fair in 67. But that's not the only celebration. We're going to have the Pan American Games in Winnipeg, the greatest international athletic contest ever held in Canada. There will be celebrations all over the country. This will be a very good time to remind ourselves of what we've accomplished in 100 years and what we can do in the 100 years that we are entering upon. This is a good time to show pride in our country, pride in its achievements, confidence in what it can do in the future. We have problems, of course, but there are no countries in the world where we would sooner live than in Canada. There is no country that we'd sooner call home than Canada. So let's remember, as we enter our centennial year, to take pride in our country, to do what we can to make it a better land for all Canadians to live in, to make our second century, at its beginning, even greater in achievement than our forefathers have accomplished in the first 100 years of our existence. And we can do that if we all work together as Canadians.
Prime Minister of Canada, the Right Honourable Lester B. Pearson. In a moment, the second half of the Grey Cup game from Empire Stadium in Vancouver.
Pontiac 67, today's brand of action for today's kind of people. Ride the Pontiac winning streak. Today's brand of action, muscle-flexing power, stamina to meet any challenge. There's a man-sized helping of excitement in every one of 52 great new Pontiacs. There's one to put your brand on. Look for it at your Pontiac dealers now.
And now the teams are back on the field and the second half is about to begin. Here's Fred Scambatti.
Along with Navi Wierkowski, spotter Art Dart, statistician Ron Andrews. And on the first 30 minutes of play, Ottawa 9 first down, Saskatchewan 7. Ottawa a total offense of 233 yards, and the white-shirted Saskatchewan Roughriders 174 yards. The punting average 46 yards by Ottawa, 33.7 by Saskatchewan. Russ Jackson was good on 5 passes out of 10 attempts. Ron Lancaster 8 for 13. The 161 yards passing by the Ottawa Roughriders. Jackson's passing average gain in the first half was 32.2. Eagle Keys undoubtedly has devised some defenses to restrict that as Ottawa comes out. And of interest, the gentleman who currently holds the Grey Cup record for the passing average in yards is a fellow by the name of Nobby Wierkowski. 29.4, 1952 Grey Cup game, when the Toronto Argonauts, with Nobby directing the offensive unit, were winners of a Grey Cup, and they were coached by Frank Clare, who is yet to lose a Grey Cup game. He's 3 for 3. Eagle Keys was here in a Grey Cup game in 1960 when he was coach of the Edmonton Eskimos, meeting Frank Clare's Ottawa team on that occasion. But it's a new half, a new ball game here. Ottawa 14, Saskatchewan 14. Nobby, what can we look for in this second half?
Fred, I don't think there's going to be any drastic change. I think that both clubs are going to attempt to come out and throw the football and certainly score. I don't think that they're going to try to control the football on the ground, because in Ottawa and the Saskatchewan defensive units, you have two teams that are extremely difficult to run against.
Looking into these end zone, George Reed and Ed Buchanan. Reed to the left as they're at the north end of the left. Bull Racine kicks off. Ed Buchanan to the 20, 25, out to the 35-yard line, and number 76, Jay Roberts, was the tackler. The ball coming back 32 yards after Racine's 62-yard kickoff. It is 1st and 10 for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. The third quarter of play, the 1966 Grey Cup game from Empire Stadium in Vancouver. Ottawa, their black jerseys. The ball just outside the Saskatchewan 35. George Reed. Gene Gaines brings him down after he had broken the attempted tackle by number 60, Bob Brown.
Fred, I noticed one thing that Ottawa has changed already. Normally, Joe Poirier stays on the right side, and he's the deep outside right halfback. But now, when Campbell came out to the right, both he and Gilbert switch, which may indicate that Coach Clare is going to go with Poirier on Campbell wherever he lines up.
A measure, a second down, just short of the first down. George Reed on the first carry of this third quarter. Second and inches. Dorsch is in place of Buchanan. Number 16 is Dorsch. It is Reed. He tries the center, and it is good for the first down as Conroy makes the tackle. Buchanan restored to the offensive backfield as Dorsch goes to the sideline. So it is first down. The ball at the Saskatchewan 47-yard line, and that's only the second first down by rushing attained by Saskatchewan in this game. Campbell and Ford are twin flankers right. George Reed piled up Billy Joe Booth along with Marshall Shirk sealing off the hole. Kenny Lehman coming in along with Bill Klein. Reed in the first half had 7 carries for 31 yards. Buchanan 4 for 12. And it was mainly the aerial route by both clubs. 161 yards by Ottawa, 145 by Saskatchewan. 2nd and 6. Lancaster. Intended for Alan Ford, but the ball will come back as third down. to the Saskatchewan 52. The score 14-14. We have 12 minutes, 54 seconds remaining in this third quarter. Gilbert and Klein are back as we view proceedings from our end zone camera. There's 4, number 21 in punt position, Gilbert to the right, and Klein to the top of the screen, to the left. Gilbert tried to burst up through the middle. Number 43, Ted Ernest, along with Evanson, making the tackle. A 9-yard return by Gilbert into the teeth of those Saskatchewan tacklers, and a 36-yard return.
Come and see 67 Pontiacs.
How many?
52 models.
You said 67.
I meant 52.
Okay, see the 52 Pontiacs with 67 new models.
Good grief.
A 36-yard punt and a 9-yard return. 1st and 10, Ottawa, outside their own 30. Russ Jackson. Bo Scott. Number 50. Wayne Shaw comes across to make the tackle. The gain is approximately 5, just a little short of 5, as the ball comes to the 35. Russ Jackson, number 12. Scott is 16. There's Saskatchewan. Very rugged front 4. Averaging 241 pounds. Jackson. Wide open. Stewart comes across to make a block as Jackson comes out to the 45. Dempsey, number 77, coming in, but Jackson seizing on the opportunity once again to rush the football.
And here we can see Russ. Sees that they're covered. Watch the great move he puts on. Right there. Trying to get to the outside, gets away, and watch this gang tackling by Saskatchewan. Great reaction.
Jackson has rushed 3 times for 32 yards. That was a 10-yard advance. 1st and 10. Ottawa outside their own 45. Tucker has gone wide to the far side. Bo Scott has the football. Trying to get outside. Cossett comes in and just upended Bo Scott. Bob Cossett and Dumelli over to make the cover. The gain is less than a yard. Leave it at 2nd and 10 as the ball just comes close to the 46-yard line of the Ottawa Rough Riders. And there's Saskatchewan breaking their defensive huddle. Saskatchewan 14, Ottawa 14. Russ Jackson with protection. For Tucker, incomplete. Dale West had come over. Just a wee bit too long. Whitman Tucker. Tucker accepted 3 passes for 164 yards in that first half. There's Woloziuk to the left and Cossett. The punt return pair is Bill Klein, who averaged 46 yards on 3 punts in the first half, sets to kick. Woloziuk. Peter Thompson, and then Doug Speck moves in, and there was another example of gang tackling, this time by the Ottawa Rough Riders.
Wayne Shaw came mighty close to blocking that punt. He thought he actually had it.
39-yard punt. The return was just 3 yards, and Saskatchewan will put the ball into play 1st and 10 from their own 30. Ten minutes of play remaining in the third quarter. Ottawa 14, Saskatchewan 14 in this 1966 renewal of the Grey Cup game. Ottawa with their defensive unit. During the season, they just gave up 12 points per game, so they're above their average. They've given up 14 thus far, but they're still in a tie ball game. George Reed, Mike Bloom was in there, along with number 60, Bob Brown. The gain is 3, 2nd and 7 as the ball comes to the 33. Reed's had 11 carries for 51 yards. Lancaster. Shirk with pressure. Intercepted by Mike Bloom. Flag on the play. Illegal interference is the call. And we must await the decision of the official. Now, if it's against the Roughriders, they'll give up the football. And referee Al Dryber wants to make sure. If the call is on Ottawa, then Saskatchewan retain possession. Illegal interference. It is called against Ottawa. So it is a first down for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Well, Fred, certainly that's a big break for Saskatchewan because Bloom really did interfere with Warden on that particular pass.
First and 10 Saskatchewan at their own 46. Ed Buchanan. Benesic with a block as Buchanan tries to break out. But Kenny Lehman reacted from his linebacker position, coming over very alertly. But Ed Buchanan, who has great speed once he gets to the outside, takes the ball into Ottawa territory, the vicinity of their 54, and it may require a measure. Ed Buchanan. Buchanan caught 2 passes for 20 yards and carried 4 times for 12 yards. Number 25, Ed Buchanan, is reactivated to the Saskatchewan roster after spending most of the season out through injury. He came back in the second game of the Western Final. There's the measurement, and it is short. Buchanan 5 carries, and he has gained 22 yards thus far in the game. It is second down. Defensive captain Billy Joe Booth, number 65, one of 5 men who've been assigned as co-coaches of the defensive unit since the unfortunate passing of assistant coach Bill Smith, the Ottawa Roughriders. Buchanan is out and Dorsch is in the backfield. George Reed. Conroy makes the tackle. Gains along with Bloom. That is good enough to advance the yardsticks.
Right here we can see on the isolated the power. Watch Reed burst through there, picking his legs up.
First and 10 for Saskatchewan, keeping the drive alive. Reed, the 1965 winner of the Most Outstanding Player Award in Canada. Lancaster still has the football. Barwell was the intended receiver, number 71.
Come and see new Pontiacs, 1967 Pontiacs at your dealers now. Ride the Pontiac winning streak.
The ball comes back as second down at the Ottawa 46. Saskatchewan in possession. The score 14-14, 7 minutes 47 seconds as Frank Clare appears intently out to that defensive unit. See if they can hold Saskatchewan. Ron Lancaster dropping back. Bill Klein almost had an interception. Barwell again, the intended receiver. Bill Klein.
Right, I think you'll see Lancaster go over to Barwell and talk to him because I don't think that Barwell knew what the pattern actually was, because Lancaster was throwing the ball to Barwell, but Barwell wasn't even looking at Lancaster.
Lancaster has come away empty-handed, or his receivers have in their last 5 pass attempts. Ford to kick, Klein to the right, Gilbert to the left. High floater, Klein. Clyde Brock was there to block off one part, and then Binion made the tackle on the 33-yard punt, and the return was just 1 yard. So the Ottawa Roughriders, their offensive unit, directed by double Shenley Award winner Russell Jackson, this year taking the Canadian Player accolade and being adjudged the most outstanding player for the 2nd time in his career. He has a total of 5 national awards. 6 minutes, 55 seconds remaining in the 3rd quarter. 14-14. Tucker goes wide to the far side. Watkins is a split end. Jim Dillard going to Rutstrand with a tremendous defensive play. That delights a good portion of the over 30,000 fans at Empire Stadium in Vancouver. A 3-yard loss. A little under 3 as the ball comes back to the 12. And while we've seen some tremendous offensive plays during the day, these 2 defensive units, both the Saskatchewan Roughriders and the Ottawa Roughriders, have come up with outstanding play. Jackson. Number 50, Shaw, was the man with initial pressure, and then Gerhardt come in, seized the opportunity to drive Jackson to the turf.
Keep an eye on this now, Fred. He's trying to hit Watkins on the sideline enough. You saw the tremendous rush that Saskatchewan put on him.
Wayne Shaw coming in there fighting off a block.
That means they were blitzing.
It is 3rd down. The punt return pair, Wolaziuk and Cosset. Cosset to the right. As we see them. Klein. High. Wolaziuk surrounded by Ottawa players, and number 66, Chuck Harrison, the rookie from Cornwall, Ontario, makes the tackle. The ball at the 38-yard line of the Ottawa Roughriders, but the Saskatchewan Western champions have possession. A 34-yard punt, and that's the poorest punt by Klein, and it leaves Saskatchewan in very, very good field position. A 14-14 tie in this 3rd quarter. Huey Campbell parts to the far side out of range. Alan Ford, Marshall Shirk came across to stop him up. And then Ken Lehman gets up from the bottom of the pile. But Shirk came quickly across that zone, the 1-yard neutral zone on the line of scrimmage. Ford, his first carry, and a 3-yard advance. 2nd and 7, the ball inside the Ottawa 35. Barwell is a split end to this side, and Ford is the slot back. 21-4. It is George Reed. Shirk stopped him up again, and then Gene Gaines came through. Along with Billy Joe Booth and Bloom. Mike Bloom, number 20.
Let's again watch this. There's a handoff. Tremendous running, but you notice the support that Gene Gaines gives the Ottawa Ball Club. He's like a second middle linebacker.
Benson will try a field goal kick from the 36. His second try is short. Gene Gaines.
Today's brand of luxury at a Pontiac price. That's the new Grand Parisienne with hideaway headlights. Ride the Pontiac winning streak.
Garner Ekstrand contained the play, number 75, and Ottawa 1st and 10 at their own 3. In a rather dangerous position. The score tied at 14-14. 4 minutes, 4 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Dillard, a loss on the play as the right side of the Saskatchewan line barged through. Number 75, Ekstrand, who's playing an outstanding game, along with Ken Reed. A yard loss, 2nd and 11. Gerhardt, McWhorters, Atchison, Reed with Ekstrand moving up on the line. Dempsey 77 in the middle. Ron Stewart trying to come outside. Jasinski pulls him into touch. Bennett coming across along with Dempsey. The gain is 4 as the ball comes out to the 6, but it's 3rd down. 3rd and 7.
Brendan, have you noticed the tremendous force that Duzinski put on? And certainly Ottawa should be looking for this.
And at the 12-minute mark of this third quarter, we'll pause. The score, Saskatchewan 14, Ottawa 14.
Where there's excitement, there's Pontiac and Pontiac people.
Today's kind of people drive Pontiac. Pontiac. Today's brand of action is Pontiac. Pontiac. The action's great. The people can't wait. The fun is happening now. Get out and get into that action too. Do what Pontiac people do. Pontiac. Pontiac. Get out and go Pontiac now.
Excitement and Pontiac people go together when you drive Pontiac's new 467 2+2 with luxurious bucket seats and center console standard equipment. See the new full-size adventure car 2+2 at your Pontiac dealers.
A Pontiac's great. You better not wait. Get out and go Pontiac now. Get out and go Pontiac now. Get out and go Pontiac now.
3rd down. Ottawa 14, Saskatchewan 14. Gene Woloziak to the left and Bob Cosset to the right. Woloziak is deepest around the center field area with 3 minutes, 7 seconds remaining in this third quarter. Woloziak, incidentally, is the CFL leader in most punts returned coming into this game. Bill Klein sets to punt. Woloziak. Peter Thompson, number 71, along with Perdrix, and then number 56, Andy Shaw, makes the tackle. A 36-yard punt and a 6-yard return leaves Saskatchewan 1st and 10 at the Ottawa 32. And once again, the Western champions enjoy very, very good field position. However, their efforts at field goals, a mention, usually reliable, has been not productive in 2 chances. However, they are threatening. George Reed, number 60, Bob Brown makes the tackle. Shirk was first to him. The gain is approximately 4. Let's watch it again, Nobby.
Here it is. Watch him try to pick his way. He's still stumbling, but he's running for yardage. And he gives you tremendous second effort, and this is what all good offensive backs need.
One of the big reasons why, for the second successive season, he was over 1,000 yards in rushing. George Reed. 2nd down with the ball at the 27. Reed again. very close to the first down. Gaines came roaring through, along with Brown. Referee Al Driver requests the sticks. Reed has carried 15 times thus far in the game for a total of 75 yards. It is a good yard, 3rd and 1, as the ball is at the 23-yard line of the Ottawa Roughriders, Saskatchewan in possession. And the cries of go in support of the Saskatchewan Roughriders come cascading down from the stands. 14-14, a minute 45 seconds. Ron Lancaster setting the offensive unit, and time is in. Seven-man front by Ottawa. It is Reed. Gene Gaines tried to body check him, but not before George Reed had accomplished the first down at the 20 with a 3-yard advance.
Fred, watch Reed jump over. Right at that point, you see him jump over the arm, still trying to pick up that yardage.
The ball comes to the 20-yard line, 1st and 10 Saskatchewan. A tie ball game, Lancaster. Campbell, the intended receiver. Gilbert was over there, along with Gene Gaines. There's been an injury. Number 72, Jim Warden, and number 75, Garner Ekstrand, comes onto the field. Warden, the injured player. Ekstrand has played offense during the season. Less than 1 minute remaining in the 3rd quarter. Trainer Sandy Archer ministering to Jim Warden as Ed Buchanan joins the group. Jim Warden in his 3rd season with Saskatchewan. He's had 3 receptions for 48 yards thus far in the game. Mighty important. Henry Dorsch has come in for Alan Ford, who just passed through our picture. He's number 21. Warden appears to be all right. It is 2nd down. The ball is at the 20-yard line of the Ottawa Roughriders. Saskatchewan in possession. 14-14. It's in good position for a possible field goal if this play is abortive. Buchanan, the ball carrier. Marshall Shirk tripped him up. Flag down on the play. And Lancaster now changed the cadence there.
Yes, he did. He came up there and he just delayed it enough and probably moved his body a little bit enough to draw the Ottawa defenders offside.
The ball comes to the 15-yard line. 2nd down. They will have the down again. Saskatchewan in possession. Warden has come back in. Barwell has gone out. Lancaster. Complete at the 5-yard line. On a tremendous catch by number 31, Huey Campbell.
And he ran a comeback pattern on Poirier. Poirier was helpless, and Lancaster threw the ball perfectly. But Campbell, with the uncanny knack of knowing when to cut and when to cut back and everything else, we'll see it here. Watch him go deep. Watch him come back now. And there it is.
66 receptions during the regular season for 1,109 yards by Huey Campbell, the leading scorer in Canadian football with 102 points. George Reed. Very little running room there as Conroy came in, along with number 60, Bob Brown, and sealed off the hole. So 3/4 of play have been completed. And as the teams change ends, the score in this Grey Cup game, Saskatchewan 14, Ottawa Fire Stadium in Vancouver. Fred Scambatti, along with Navi Workowski, Art Darge, Ron Andrews, It is second down for the Saskatchewan Roughriders with the ball on the 5-yard line. A tie ball game, 14-14. Time is in. Huey Campbell goes wide to the far side. Ford is flanked there too. Lancaster. For Campbell, touchdown! Nobby, that was just an exceptional catch.
And he fought for that football, and he had to come up with it because certainly there were defenders around him. Lancaster threw a perfect pass, but Campbell just had a tremendous fight for the football.
Benson will try for the extra point. 20-14 Saskatchewan. It is good. The Saskatchewan Roughriders 21. The Ottawa Roughriders 14. Going back in memory to 1951, reverse the figures, and that was the final score as the Ottawa Roughriders of that era defeated Saskatchewan. Let's look at it again.
Here we are now. Watch him on Poirier. There you are. Look at.
At the end of 3 quarters, Saskatchewan had 12 first downs, Ottawa 10. 82 yards rushing for Ottawa, 161 passing, 88 for Saskatchewan rushing, 155 passing. Total offense for each team, 243 yards, and it's been that kind of a ball game. Lancaster 9 for 18, Jackson 5 for 11. Benson sets to kick off. Gaines and Scott waiting. Gaines. It's out to the 25, to the 40, and driven out of bounds. Number 24 cost it, and number 30 Bruce Bennett. 41-yard return by Gene Gaines. Incidentally, Gaines holds the CFL record for the longest kickoff return, 128 yards, 41 on that one off the 55-yard kick. First and 10 for the Ottawa Roughriders at their own 50. Jackson has the football. For Ron Stewart, and there was severe pressure back there. McWhorter, Atchison, and Reed. Dumelli covered off. Dumelli slightly injured on the play. A little slow getting up, but he's all right. Ron Stewart, winner of the Canadian Player of the Year award in 1960 when he set a CFL game mark for rushing.
Fred, and both Ottawa and Saskatchewan are using a zone defense, and they've been in it pretty well most of the day. I doubt very much if either team is going to be successful in throwing the ball deep. I think the type of pass that Lancaster threw to Campbell, the comebacks, the hooks, these are the things that a quarterback normally employs against his own defense.
The delay in the game, Dumelli, a little more seriously injured than at first thought. We'll bring Henry Dorsch onto the field as his replacement in the depth for Dumelli as the Saskatchewan training staff work over him. That's Sandy Archer on the far side. And that was only Jackson's second pass in this half. Rather an unusual affair for Russ Jackson. Referee Al Dryber is over there. Dumelli has played very fine football, not only during the game here, but during the season for Coach Eagle Key's Saskatchewan Roughriders. Dumelli in his 7th season with the Roughriders. Incidentally, should we have a tie game, and it's a distinct possibility. We'll go back to 1961 for the overtime game in Toronto, where Winnipeg defeated Hamilton 21-14, but we've got a tremendous amount of ball left here yet. Dumelli being assisted off the field, and it would appear that his hamstring might have suffered a severe cramp, but we'll make no pronouncement, as it is not definitely known the extent of his injury.
That's what it looked like, Fred, because the trainer was massaging it and trying to rub out the cramp.
It is second down as the ball is at the 50-yard line of the Ottawa Roughriders. 14 minutes, 21 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter. Saskatchewan lead 21-14. Dushinsky has come into Dumelli's place as Dorsch moves into Dushinsky's spot. Jackson. Intended for Whit Tucker, and once again, Nobby, that Saskatchewan front wall seems to be getting to Jackson. Reed prominent in getting into that backfield.
They're coming back from the backside.
Third down. Number 19 was Wolaziuk, along with Cossett on the near side here, set to receive the punt by Klein. There's very little wind affecting the punting today. Klein sends a towering punt. Wolaziuk, Jay Roberts, and then number 51, Perdrix. There's a flag on the play, and Peter Thompson is called for piling on. Number 71 coming in late. And rather than having Saskatchewan down at their own 15 or 18-yard line, they'll come out 15 to their 33. And that will be a costly penalty. The punt was 40 yards, and they drove the receiver back 3 on the intended return. But a 15-yard penalty, they paid dearly for the infraction. First and 10, Saskatchewan at their own 33. They lead 21-14. Double wing is to the right. Buchanan, number 60, Bob Brown, with help from Bill Klein and Gaines. It is second down as the ball comes out to the 39. A 6-yard advance, second and 4. Eagle Keys, number 71, Gordon Barwell in the picture. Ekstrand continues at the right end. Warden on the left. Lancaster keeps the ball. Poirier there, along with Obilovich. And Lancaster with great manipulation of that ball. That was a tremendous fake now.
Fred, that had me completely fooled also, because I thought with their ends tight, the way they normally go on their second short yardage situation, that Reed had the ball, but certainly Lancaster came along and pulled a Jackson maneuver, and this befuddled Ottawa completely because Lancaster is not known as a runner.
He only carried the ball 29 times during the season for 91 yards, and his longest was 24. But that run moved the Yardsticks. First down as the ball is at the Saskatchewan 43. Buchanan, and he breaks out, finding a good gap behind crisp and efficient blocking. Gene Gaines bringing him down. Buchanan with that speed once he finds an opening.
And here we'll see it on the isolated camera. It's a rollout draw. There's Buchanan faking a block. Watch this move now. Grab his point to get to the outside. Tremendous speed.
A 15-yard advance as the ball comes to the Ottawa 52. First and 10, Saskatchewan. Barwell has returned at the left end. George Reed, Marshall Shirk in there first, along with Kenny Lehman and Billy Joe Booth. A gain of just a little over 5, 2nd and 5, as the ball comes to the Ottawa 48. Nobby, Saskatchewan appear to have the momentum.
Right now, the offensive line is certainly coming off the ball. I think they can sense victory, and this is what they really want.
They lead 21-14. Compact formation, the ends tight. Campbell flank to the side. George Reed again. Billy Joe Booth hanging on tenaciously. Ernest, Benesick, and Brock charging away from the mark to give Reed just a little bit of running room, and he powered the rest.
With Saskatchewan going as well as they are with their running game, if they do pass, I think that if I were the Ottawa defenders, I'd be looking for a play pass.
It is first down with the ball at the Ottawa 42. Saskatchewan in possession. Shirk is 53, Booth 65. And Ottawa need the football. They've trailed by 7 points. And Saskatchewan just as determined to retain possession. George Reed again. The ball comes loose, but the play was dead.
Ever notice that where there's excitement, there's Pontiac and Pontiac people? See your Pontiac dealer and join the excitement.
The gain was 5 yards. 2nd and 5 with the ball just beyond the 37 of the Rough Riders. 10 minutes remaining in the 4th quarter. Lancaster has the football. Intended for number 72, Jim Warden, who had a contest with Gene Gaines. And this will be interesting, Nobby.
And Fred, there was a play pass action that we were talking about. And Warden doesn't have that extreme speed, but if you saw, he got behind the defender.
Again, Lancaster's excellent mechanical display in the backfield there.
He put the ball on his hip, and the Ottawa defender certainly had trouble locating the ball.
Klein, 27, Gilbert, 24 in the end zone as Ford sets to punt on 3rd down. Klein, number 64, Benyon, was there along with Brock and Benesick to make the tackle on the 32-yard punt, and there was no return. 9 minutes, 23 seconds remain in the 4th quarter. Saskatchewan 21, Ottawa 14. 1st and 10, Ottawa on their own 6. And a good deal of that emotional charge that carried them through the Eastern Conference playoffs may have left them as they've come to this Grey Cup game. We shall see. Dumelli has returned to action, number 26. Riders are going to have to dig deeply. The Eastern Riders. Jackson. For Whitman Tucker. Called a completion out at the 15-yard line, and Dumelli makes the tackle. 26 on 26. The gain is 9, 2nd and 1 with the ball at the 15. Ottawa, the offensive unit. Tucker to the far side. Jim Dillard. How did they make that first down? Number 41 getting up from the bottom of the pile. Ron Atchison over to assist in destroying the play. And they may not have made the first down. They did not make the first down as the ball remains at the 15. 3rd and 1.
Fred, that old 15-year veteran, Ron Atchison, number 41, he led the assault on Dillard.
Eagle Key's not showing it, but I'm sure he was delighted with that defensive play. Not a very good kick off the side of the foot. Woloziak coming over, and it's out of bounds. So he stepped on the sideline. Ball ruled out at the 47. And as the overcast moves in, it has been an overcast afternoon. There was a slight rain just before the game started. The lights were turned on at the outset of this game. Rather mild day, not too much wind, but we understand that despite the overcast nature, that this color is holding up quite well for this telecast. But it is becoming darker. 8 minutes, 2 seconds. Saskatchewan, 1st and 10 at the Ottawa, 47. Buchanan, Billy Joe Booth, along with Lehman, making the tackle.
Fred, and again, this was to be an off-tackle play, but Buchanan saw that it wasn't open. He cut back to the inside.
2nd and 5. The ball at the 42 of the Eastern Roughriders. 21-14 for Saskatchewan over Ottawa. 7 minutes, 23 seconds remaining. The ends are closed in. Full backfield. George Reed. He drives out beyond. He broke the tackle of at least 2 attempted tacklers, Bloom and Conroy, before Gaines eventually pinned him. But that moves the yardsticks. Another demonstration of Reed's great power.
And if you notice, Reed is kicking the ground because he thought he was going to be away. Here we'll see it on the isolated. Watch him jump through, breaks his way out, kicks his way out of another tackle, and only one man brought him down.
21 carries for 103 yards by George Reed. First down, Saskatchewan. The Ottawa 31. Reed again gets the call. He may be gone. Touchdown.
Broke a tackle right at the line of scrimmage, and he got in that secondary, and he wasn't about to be brought down.
Nobby, I talked to George Reed last year, just a year ago at this time, when he received his national award in Toronto. He said his ambition was to play in a Grey Cup game and be a winner, and he's contributed largely on this afternoon, should Saskatchewan prevail. The kick is good. The Saskatchewan Roughriders, 28. The Ottawa Roughriders, 14. 6 minutes and 30 seconds remaining in the fourth quarter.
Let's watch this now. Right there. It breaks away. Poirier missed him, and he just stepped out of his way.
28-14, Saskatchewan over Ottawa. The Ottawa Roughriders coming into this game at approximately 8-point favorites, but the Saskatchewan Roughriders have been disdainful of the odds all season. Benson kicking off with Gaines and Scott in the end zone. It's short and out of bounds, marked at the 12.
Who's the happiest man in town? Your Pontiac dealer. The 1967 Pontiacs are making everybody smile.
The Ottawa Roughriders accept the 10-yard penalty against Saskatchewan as the ball comes back to the 35 to be kicked off again, with Gaines and Scott. Gaines to the left and Scott moving up appropriately from out of their end zone. Certainly a delight to see men who played the 1960 game. Jackie Parker won with Edmonton. Gary Schreider, Lou Bruce on hand to watch this contest. Benson. Gaines at the 25. Gerhardt right there to pull him down beyond the 35-yard line. As things closed up, the 54-yard kickoff, and the return was 15 yards. First and 10, the Ottawa Roughriders, who trailed by 2 touchdowns. And that sturdy Saskatchewan defensive unit have prevented any scoring by Ottawa since the teams returned to play after the first 30 minutes. Jackson back against the flow to Stewart, flag down. Stewart with a fine run, flashing old form, brought down by Dempsey, number 77, along with Dushinsky, number 27. But there was a flag down on the play. The ball coming back to the line of scrimmage. Roughing is the call against the Ottawa Roughriders. A 15-yard penalty back to their 20, nullifying an excellent offensive move. So it is first and 25 with the ball at the 20. Reed goes out. Ottawa's only picked up 19 yards this half, 9 in the air, 10 on the ground, and you just know Coach Frank Clare, who was acclaimed Coach of the Year and may well be straddled with a jinx affecting Coaches of the Year. Jackson for Jay Roberts. Dempsey brings him down.
The welcome mat is out at your Pontiac dealers. Come on in and warm yourself by a new Parisienne 2+2. It's a hot one.
A 17-yard advance. It is 2nd and 8. Reed has returned. Levesque has gone to the bench. He was in for just one play. And now time becomes a factor. Less than 5 minutes remaining. 28-14 Saskatchewan over Ottawa. Ron Stewart has the ball. Should come back to Russ Jackson. Intercepted. Number 50, Reed Gerhardt, is the man with the football, number 79. And that may be the single most important play, Nobby, that Gerhardt will make this season.
Fred, we'll see it here. Let's keep an eye on the defensive left end. He's dropping off. That means Shaw was going on a rush, and there it is. Tremendous play by a defensive end.
And McWhorters, who's 6'4", coming back on Stewart at 5'8", assisted materially with his pressure before Stewart got the ball away. First and 10 Saskatchewan at the Ottawa 39. Campbell is flanked very wide to the far side. George Reed. Marshall Shirk first, and then Ken Lehman. And Nobby, Saskatchewan, with this 14-point lead, have the ingredients for possession football.
Oh, I don't think they'll do anything dangerous or silly. I think that they'll play basic football. Certainly, they've run the ball effectively against this Ottawa ball club, and that's why I think they'll stay. If they do throw it, it'll be off the play pass action that complements their running game.
With Reed and Buchanan there, you don't have to go too much further. They both played very well. And this is Buchanan. Gilbert trying to steer him to the sidelines and does.
Again, Buchanan was going to turn up. He saw that the hole was blocked by Mike Bloom, and he got to the outside. Buchanan has tremendous speed, and this is the only reason why he can get to the outside. You notice he gave Gilbert a couple of moves, and then he leaned in as he felt Gilbert hitting him.
It is 3rd down and 2 with the ball at the 31 of the Roughriders. 3 minutes, 34 seconds remaining. 28-14 Saskatchewan over Ottawa. And no gamblers, Saskatchewan. Ford will kick. No need to gamble. Oh, Ford with a good punt. Klein gives up a point. And that could be a very, very important point because it puts the game beyond 2 touchdowns of the Ottawa Roughriders. 29-14 after the 43-yard punt. 3 minutes and 19 seconds remaining. And the Eastern Roughriders will have to dig very, very deeply if they have any hopes of coming close in this game. 29-14 Saskatchewan over Ottawa. The 1966 Grey Cup game in color from Empire Stadium, Vancouver, on an overcast day. Ron Stewart. Wayne Shaw, number 50, refused to be taken out of there by anything that Ron Stewart did. Former junior player with the Saskatoon Hilltops. Well, let us pause now, and at the 12-minute mark of the 4th quarter, the score is Saskatchewan 29, Ottawa 14.
Richard Daring is on an assignment in his new Pontiac 2+2 in the case of the Maharaja's Diamonds, Episode 1. A rendezvous with the glamorous Mrs. Steele and her Parisienne convertible. A mysterious package, now secure in the glove compartment. Instant response from Pontiac's optional 385 horsepower V8. But someone's watching as Pontiac's full coil suspension smooths out those bumps. Emergency, out, fast, with push-button seat belts, standard front and back in 67 Pontiac. Can Mrs. Steele save the situation? One thing is sure, Pontiac styling can't go unnoticed. Is this man suspicious or just envious of this beautiful new Pontiac? See the next episode in The Case of the Maharaja's Diamonds, starring Pontiac.
With the score 29-14 for Saskatchewan, the Regina Roller Rooters, a group of handicapped persons from Regina who are in hand for this game, certainly must be delighted. Atchison has gone out, and Benesic, number 66, has been inserted into the defensive complement. It is 2nd down. 2nd and 18. Jackson. Reed with pressure, and then Ekstrand. Whittaker could not control the ball. Third down. Woloziak comes on to team with Cossett in anticipation of a punt by Klein. Third down. Woloziak. He gets some added yardage with a determined effort as number 50. Mike Walterzak moved in. Then Klein came up to make the tackle. So Saskatchewan have possession of the football again after a 31-yard punt, and Woloziak with an 8-yard return. He returned 486 yards during the season on 84 returns to lead the Western Football Conference. 1st and 10 Saskatchewan at the Ottawa 40. Ron Lancaster directing the offense. Buchanan, number 60, Bob Brown, slices across to bring down the ball carrier. And these jinxes that prevail, men who have been adjudged Coach of the Year, have not had success in Grey Cup games or retaining their jobs. And there's also a hoodoo on the player adjudged the most outstanding player in the nation. Anytime he has been in a Grey Cup game, he has not come out a winner. So these jinxes may hold. 29-14, Saskatchewan over Ottawa, 2nd and 8. Alan Ford, and once again Brown comes across with assistance from Lehman. Bob Brown 22 years old, 6'2", 227 pounds in his second season with the Riders. Doing a fine job along that wing line. And the fans starting to get just a little out of hand. There's one of them that's making the trip from the area of the scrimmage back to his seat. He may be greeted by some of Vancouver's finest who have had their troubles last night. I mentioned the field goal try from the 42. He's yet to find the post on a try. Gilbert to Klein. Klein gets out to the 10 before he's brought down. Dorsch was one of the men in there, number 16, along with Whitehouse 62 and Brock 67. Reg Whitehouse in his 15th season, 33 years old. There's Gene Gaines. He came back to the bench. 1 minute and 19 seconds, the unofficial time remaining in the game. Saskatchewan 29, Ottawa 14. Ron Stewart. Dale West is there to stop him up. Then Dempsey came over along with Bruce Bennett. And these Saskatchewan Roughriders move relentlessly toward the Grey Cup and victory in this 1966 renewal. They lead 29-14.
Brad, and I think the biggest single deciding factor in this ball game has been the ability of the Saskatchewan defense to completely control the Ottawa offense.
2nd and 6. Jim Dillard out to the 25. Cossett moves in along with DeMelli. Saskatchewan in 8 tries for a Grey Cup prior to this time have not been able to capture Canada's premier prize for football, but it would appear with 37 seconds remaining in the ball game that they have done the job for Coach Eagle Keys on this overcast afternoon. Jim Dillard again, pulled down by number 50. Wayne Shaw, who's enjoyed a great afternoon. And Wayne Shaw goes out. Cliff Shaw, brother Cliff, is into the game, number 51. Bo Scott. And Cliff Shaw moves in to make the tackle. The fans have invaded the field. There's 4 seconds showing on the clock. And it would appear that as in the 1960 game here, where a fan spirited the ball away with 41 seconds remaining, that we will have a contest that is not officially complete according to the clock. There's 4 seconds showing. However, it is all over. The Saskatchewan Roughriders have defeated the Ottawa Roughriders 29-14. And the emotion, the drive, the momentum was with the Roughriders of the Plains as they prevailed over the Eastern team by 29-14. They had the offense, which certainly everyone expected from the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and they also had the defense today. They shut out the Ottawa Roughriders during the second half, completely containing Russ Jackson and that potentially powerful Ottawa Roughrider offensive unit. Certainly Lancaster, there were stars aplenty, both offense and defense today for the Riders, the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Now stand by. In a moment, we'll have the presentation of the Grey Cup and player interviews.
When Mrs. Steele's new Pontiac was stolen, had the Maharaja's diamonds fallen into the wrong hands? Not with Richard Daring on the case. But there must be a good reason why Daring is apparently abandoning his Pontiac 2+2, an all-new Pontiac series for '67. Ah, still after those diamonds. No time to enjoy the comfort of contoured strato-bucket seats or to admire the padded instrument panel. Empty. Where are the diamonds? Not here. Where? Are these the Maharaja's diamonds? Time for one last envious look at the high-fashion fastback roofline. Don't miss the next episode starring Pontiac.
The 1966 Grey Cup Classic at Empire Stadium in Vancouver is now history. The Saskatchewan Roughriders, first place winners in the Western Conference this season, apparently on the tag end after a tremendous start, came up to the playoffs in good style to defeat the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in 2 games and come into this Grey Cup final with an inspirational performance that provided the province of Saskatchewan, the city of Regina, with their first Grey Cup win by 29-14. Nobby Wierkowski, how did you view the game in general?
Fred, in the first half, I thought that Ottawa threw the ball effectively. They did run it at times successfully, although they didn't really try to run the ball as much as they maybe should have. But certainly, Saskatchewan was not to be denied in today's ball game. They came out in the second half. They made the adjustments. They put extreme pressure on Russ Jackson. They defensed the run. They had the running game with George Reed and Ed Buchanan. The offensive line came out, and they created holes in the Ottawa defense that normally wasn't done all year. And I thought this was a big factor in that second half. Lancaster didn't panic and certainly was not concerned whether he threw the ball or not, just so that they gained possession of it. And by doing the running of Reed and Buchanan, control the offense, control the ball, and this is basically why Ottawa didn't have the ball that much the second half.
Well, Lancaster, to me today, Nobby, was a master magician out there, both at the way he masked his plays and also his play selection. He seemed to have it. He fully realized what he had going for him with backs such as Reed and Buchanan, and when he had to use the pass, he did. There was one pass, an unfortunate play for Bob Obilovich, but an equally fortunate one for Saskatchewan, as Alan Ford was very, very alert on one long pass. Now let us stand by, and we'll resume with the post-game activities in just a moment.
All right. One of the dejected young men of the Ottawa Roughriders, Ken Lehman, a fine linebacker who played the entire game, by the way, with a very sore ankle. Ken, I know that they took your boot off early in the game, put it back on, had it taped up pretty well. What happened?
Well, I've had a sprained ankle for a couple of weeks, and it's been bothering me quite a bit, and I got a shot before the game, and it wasn't enough, so I had to get a shot again.
I also saw you limping quite a bit during the game, so it was bothering you, wasn't it?
Yes, sir, it was.
Ken, did you expect the Saskatchewan Roughriders to come on that strong and win 29-14?
I actually didn't think they'd beat us, but they beat us exactly what I thought they'd do. First half, they got quite a few breaks, and second half, they just picked us in the middle, in which I think Ronnie Lancaster, he's the one that did it, really, because he calls the automatics and does a real good job at it.
The way you opened up the football game, though, with that long one to Tucker, everyone thought, wow, this could be another one of those Hamilton series where you really bombed the club.
Well, we couldn't. I think the footing was bad out there. We couldn't get a running game going. You just can't depend on them long bombs when they're playing zone defense on you.
Does the field bother the linemen quite a bit more than the backs?
Yeah, I think it does, because you can't get a footing out there, and it's really tough.
Okay, thank you very much, Ken. I know I have to get back. Ken Lehman, a fine linebacker of the Ottawa Roughriders. Another defensive ball player, Gene Gaines. And Gene, they tell me that you are the outstanding defensive back out in the East, and today you had a lot to handle with that Saskatchewan club.
Yeah, Saskatchewan is a pretty rough club because they run that ball very good, and Ronnie fakes the ball real well, and he throws well to all his receivers. And this was one thing that we were expecting of Ronnie, and we were trying to control it, but like I say, they got a few breaks, and we had some mental mistakes on individual defensive backs that gave them, which always occur in a ball game, and they took advantage of these breaks, and they went on out in front, and the rest of it was hard work on the ground, and they maintained their poise, and they went on to win the ball game.
When you started the game against Saskatchewan, did they come at you the way you expected?
Well, we expected them to come at us running more, but they came out passing more, and actually we figured Ronnie would pass, but we expect him to run the ball more. So we were more conscious of his running with Reed healthy and Buchanan healthy. So we expected to see running in a nice day. And we felt that they would be running the ball more. And I think Runny got a couple of lucky passes in on us because he threw the ball up high. And, that's all you have to do against a defensive back is put the ball up there and it's a perfect pass and let the receiver run under it. And that's what happened. Runny just threw that ball up high and we just hesitated a little bit with that fake and he had enough time and the receiver ran on the ball.
When George Reed got away for that, what appeared to be the clinching touchdown, was the Ottawa defense expecting to throw at that time?
No, actually, we were playing for a run more like. I think it was a mental mistake on one of the linemen, and this was the thing because we were playing a mix of defense and the backs are covering down on all the individual receivers, and it makes it pretty hard for the backs to recover after they split you out wide. As you know, Saskatchewan split very wide on their linemen, and we have to rely a lot on our linemen to stop the play at the line of scrimmage, and the backs have to try to cover those receivers because, Ronnie had fooled us once before on that fake to the fullback and the halfback and threw the long bomb, and this is what we were expecting. So we had to honor him for the pass.
Well, Gene, you played exceptionally well. Congratulations on getting to the Grey Cup. I thought the Ottawa club did very well.
Yes, we played a rough team, and I got to give it to Saskatchewan. They're a rough team, and they're a very good team, and I'm glad that they were the ones that beat us because they deserved to beat us. So they were the better team today.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ernie.
Congratulations. Gene Gaines, a fine defensive back of the Ottawa Roughriders, and I think that Eagle Keys is standing by. Eagle Keys and Commissioner Sidney Halder. Well, Mr. Halder, I think that shake hands with you first because this will be your last Grey Cup game that you will officially preside over. Mr. Ted Workman, the president of the CFL and the winning coach. And Eagle, I know that you waited a long time for this, and I know it's a very happy moment, and you're usually very, very quiet. I wouldn't mind if you took a big yell now because I know how you feel.
Ernie, words can't describe how I feel. This is the greatest thrill I've ever had in my life. So what more can you say?
You said that you were coming up with something different before the game when I interviewed you. Maybe you could go into a little detail.
Well, it didn't work the first time we ran it, so we got away from it and tried something else, Ernie. We used three flankers out to one side, and then for some reason we planned on going back to it, but we never did get back to it.
Well, Eagle, I know that Commissioner Halder is all set to go here to make a special presentation. Do you want to do it now, Commissioner?
Yeah.
All right. If you just hold on. All right.
Eagle, President Ted Workman and I are very, very happy to present to you this historic Grey Cup trophy, which is emblematic of the Canadian Championship, and for which, for the first time ever, the name of the Regina Roughriders will be inscribed on it. And it's a very, very happy occasion. And my heartiest congratulations, and will you please congratulate each and every one of your players for me. They turned in a magnificent game, and it was a good game all the way through, and I think they're worthy victories.
Congratulations, Eagle. Thank you very much, Mr. Halder. Ted Workman, president of the CFL.
Well, of course, Eagle, we'd like to double the thanks, and I can't add to what Commissioner Halder said, except that I feel a little bit warmer about it because you're a former Alouette. Of course, you know that's where we're from, so.
Thank you very much, Ted.
Great job, Eagle.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Ted.
Thank you, Ernie.
President of the CFL, if you just hold on for 1 second, Eagle, I want to know exactly what's going to happen after this game. I know that you don't plan that far ahead after a Grey Cup game, but I suppose that your players will be getting back. When would they go?
Yes, we'll be getting back sometime tomorrow night, Ernie. I think it's 8:15.
And tonight, of course, it's celebration time, Eagle.
Yes, we have a big party all lined up. Ernie.
Well, I'll let you get to it as quick as you can.
But I'd just like to say to the people of Saskatchewan, this is your cup.
Okay, Eagle.
For this year.
Thank you very much. Eagle Keys is a very popular coach of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and it's the first time they've ever won it, and he helped them. Now, Frank Clare is standing by. Frank, could you come in? Frank Clare. Frank, it was a tough game, I know, and we watched you through the entire game. You were pretty cool. There were no antics going on there. It looked as though your club, even though when they were down, were quite confident they could come back.
Well, I think so, Ernie. We were beaten by a very fine team today. Eagle Keys, Saskatchewan Roughriders. All credit goes to them. They played well. They outplayed us. We had a few tough breaks. We never seemed to get many, but sometimes a good team and a great team like they are, they just outplayed us, and they won it very honorably.
Do you think that possibly this is an anticlimax after you did so well against the Hamilton club that it was a bit of a letdown? You couldn't get back to that form?
Well, no, I don't think we can talk about anticlimactic things now. This is a great game. I think our boys tried it. We had it for a while there. We're right even, but they sort of took it away from us, Ernie, and everything, all the credit, they're certainly deserving of all the credit.
Thank you very much, Frank.
Thank you.
See you later. Now, if Russ Jackson, Russ, come on in.
Hi, Ernie.
How are you?
Well, not too bad.
The way you started that game with that pass to Tucker, I thought, uh-oh, Jackson's at it again.
Well, Ernie, we got the 2 long passes, but that's about all they gave us. We didn't move the ball very well, and we couldn't come out of our own end. When they put us back there, they kept us in there, and that's how they won the ball game.
Did they come at you any differently or than you expected?
Not really, Ernie. We expected them to try and contain me, and certainly that's what they tried to do, and I had to cut the roll-offs off a little bit shorter than usual and try and throw from there. But they did a terrific job defensively on us, and as I say, when they don't let you come out of your own end when you got the wind, then you're in trouble.
You find them any tougher, say, to go against when you're in your own end than, say, Hamilton or Montreal, the clubs in the East?
Not really. I think any club is tough when you get down inside your 10, and certainly they kept us down there in that almost entire third quarter, and this was, I think, where they won the ball game, because we wanted to go out there in that third quarter and get some points, and they managed to score, and we didn't.
Well, Russ, I think that everyone in the country now would like to know exactly what you're going to do in the future. You know, we talked about this earlier, that the rumor was out that you're quitting after this year, and then you told me, well, you may wait another. Does this loss in the Grey Cup change your mind in any way?
Not at all, Ernie. I said I'd be back for one more year, and then I'd think about it at the end of next season, and it's quite some time to the end of next year, so we hope to be back and represent Ottawa possibly next year if we can.
Well, Russ, even though your Ottawa club did not win the Grey Cup, you yourself had a very fine year personally, winning the Shenley Award for the 2nd time. Congratulations on that, and thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much, Ernie.
Russ Jackson, and you all know about him. I think Whit Tucker is standing by. Is he not here? Oh, there he is. Whit.
Pleased to meet you, Ernie.
How are you? He caught 2 touchdown passes, and that first one, where you got behind DeMelli, tell us about that.
Well, it's what we call a sprint out pass, Ernie. I just go in like it's going to be an end run, and I fake a block, and then I just burst downfield. And I don't think it was DeMelli. I think it was West that came up to make the tackle on Russ, and I was all by myself.
And the second one, that was a beautiful run.
Well, the second one was a little funny. It was really a broken play, and Russ was caught, and I just took off, and he just hit me in stride.
Did you find that they were defending you any differently than you had expected?
Well, really, a little bit. I thought that they were using a bit of a different zone than we had planned on. They were using what we call a Robin Lill, and they had a man in our curl in zone, and we had a little trouble hitting that all day, and that's really our big play.
Okay, thank you very much, Rick.
Thank you very much.
Lots of luck to you. Whit Tucker, a fine offensive back for the Ottawa Roughriders, and I think that the happiest man in Canada is standing by right now, Mayor Baker. Am I right?
Hello there. How are you?
How are you? Mayor Baker of Regina. And this is quite a trip for you, and I didn't see you jumping off any stadiums, but I know when you did come in here, there was the biggest smile I ever saw.
Premier Bennett and I practically jumped off out of the box office today, but I'm very pleased with this wonderful win. I want to congratulate Eagle Keys and the Saskatchewan Roughriders for a tremendous win. Ottawa played a good game, and we're looking forward to a real celebration back home tomorrow night. And hello, Regina and Saskatchewan. I hope that you don't tear the city apart before we get home.
Mayor,
thank you for having me.
Well, just one more question. I think how many people do you think came from Regina or Saskatchewan?
Oh, I would think at least 6,000 to 7,000 came from Saskatchewan, probably 5 from Regina. It looked as though the stands were full of Regina people there today. They're the green and white, and it's really tremendous that they come out and support our green and white the way they did. Thank you, and we're very, very happy.
Thank you very much.
We've made history today.
Thank you very much. Mayor Baker of Regina. We'll be back with our post-game activities in just a moment.
Richard Daring had photographed the whole action while the mysterious stranger was searching his Pontiac 2+2 for what he thought were the Maharaja's diamonds. Aided by a tip, Mrs. Steele finds her missing Parisienne convertible as Daring closes in. And here in his Pontiac Grand Parisienne wagon, an all-new model for '67, is the Maharaja. There's room for all the Maharaja's prized possessions. But where are the headlights? Daring knows hideaway lights. Daring's hideaway for the Maharaja's diamonds. Case closed. And now the stars of our show, Parisienne Convertible, Grand Parisienne Station Wagon, and the dramatically new 2+2, each one an adventure in driving. Ask any average Maharaja.
The winning quarterback for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, Ron Lancaster. And Ron, you had a whale of a day. That arm was going exceptionally well, and your club really came on in the second half.
Well, yes, Ernie, the second half we decided we played our type of footballs. When we line up, and we send George Reed, Ed Buchanan, everybody else right at him. And when we can get this going, we feel that this is the way we win.
When the score was tied 14-14 at halftime, what happened during the halftime intermission?
Nothing much ever happens at halftime. You know, we go out and sit down, rest up a little bit, and then Eagle says a few words. And today he says the same he says most days. He says that we got as good a ball club as they do, and we go out second half and prove it. And the second half what did it.
And that big play, of course, that locked things up was that running play by Reed. And what made you call that play, by the way?
Well, we've been having success running inside, and I felt they was going to be in that even defense again, which is their basic defense. And it's just a matter of time. We hadn't broke one up through there yet, and it was a matter of time we were going to get something through. And we just changed the blocking a little bit, and the hole was there, and when he gets through, that's it.
Ronnie, thank you very much.
Thank you, Ryan.
Ron Lancaster, quarterback of Saskatchewan. Here's Huey Campbell. Gluey Huey, as he's known. Fine, Huey. You made a fine reception there, and they were guarding you pretty well all through the game. They give you some double spots there?
Well, they did, as usual. We had a lot of plays called anticipating this, and I had fun being a decoy. Maybe when they relax, I can catch some more passes.
When you say decoy, for those of you who are watching, explain exactly what you do in a couple of these plays.
Well, Ernie, we only had 3 pass plays designed to me in this game. And all the rest were designed where I would clear an area and the person would come in behind and catch the ball there. And Jim Warden, of course, did a beautiful job of getting deep. And I don't know, I just say Ronnie seemed to call the right play at the right time, and we beat an awfully good team.
How was the footing for a man like you who likes to make those little moves all the time?
Well, I think the footing was to the offense advantage when it's slippery like that. We know where we're going, and if we get the other guy to make a mistake, it's very hard for him to recover.
Okay, Huey. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ernie.
Huey Campbell, who had a great year and set a league record with 17 touchdown passes this season. Bob Cossett, defensive back. Bob?
Thank you, Ernie.
You had a whale of a season, too, and incidentally, I know that you had a defensive plan set up with the backs. Did they throw anything different at you in particular?
No, they stuck to pretty well what they've done all year, and particularly in the 2 Hamilton games. We knew we had to stop Tucker and Watkins, and we felt our front 5 could stop the running, and that's just what happened.
What did you do in particular for Tucker?
We zoned them. We zoned Tucker, and we had one man free, which would usually pick up Watkins.
When you went into the ball game, Bob, did you expect that they would score so many points? I know when you go against a top offensive team, you always say, well, they're going to score 2 or 3 on us. We've got to get 4 or 5. Did you have that in mind?
Well, being realistic, I guess so. I wanted to shut them out because we've heard all week what great an offense Ottawa had, and I wanted to shut them out. We stopped them except for 2 passes in the first half, and unfortunately they were touchdowns, but I felt at halftime that we had the game.
Okay. Thank you very much. Bob Cossett, fine ball player. Former Shenley winner, George Reed. And George, that touchdown of yours, that last one, put the icing on the cake. And tell us about what happened. Who gave you the block?
Well, they were in the even defense, and Ronnie called 31M, which means a man-to-man block. We got to the line of scrimmage, and the lineman changed it to an O block, which means that our center is blocking away. Benny is blocking out, and Abishan is hitting the linebacker. And they did a wonderful job and got me through, and from there, we just a foot race to the goal line.
What did you think of their defensive club, the line you ran against, George?
Well, they got a great defensive ball club. They got a great ball club altogether, but I think we were a little irritated all week. The press kind of built them up to be superhuman, and we didn't have a chance, and we just wanted to prove that we had a good football team also, and I think you just saw 2 good football teams fighting it out, and the better team of the day won.
Well, it certainly did today. Thank you very much, George.
Thank you.
George Reed, former Shenley winner. I think that Alan Ford is standing. Alan, come on in. Fine touchdown for you. Watch those cleats. And when they set that pass up for you, did you go in and tell them anything before the play?
No, it wasn't I wasn't the number 1 receiver. Jim Warden was the number 1 receiver, and they played us in the zone, and Ronnie just let the pass go, and I saw the man go for the interception, and he was he looked like he was going to play it too close, so I just stayed behind him, and it just happened to fall right in my hands.
When you say number one receiver for Warden, that's not usual, is it?
No, probably that's one of our few plays where Jim is the basic receiver, and Huey and myself are just used for clearing out the zone defense.
Okay, thank you very much. Alan Ford, Saskatchewan. Is Cliff Shaw there? Cliff, come on in.
How are you?
Thanks. Well, I don't know what to say to you. You look like you've been playing in a mud bath.
Oh, it's beautiful. I tell you, I've never had a better mud bath in all my life.
You're the fellow that says he looks like he's 14 years old. They all call him Kid.
I don't know. It was the way I feel. Beautiful.
Well, Cliff, did you expect that Ottawa club to be beaten this way?
I tell you, when I seen them two long bombs they threw for touchdowns, I was scared, but I knew we had more than they did, and we finally came through.
How was the hitting, Cliff?
I didn't get in too much, but it was hard.
Anybody belt you? Did you get a few belts in?
I don't remember. I'll remember tomorrow.
You're out for that party tonight.
Oh,
too.
you want to believe it.
Okay, thank you very much,
Thank you.
Cliff Shaw, the Saskatchewan Roughriders. I think Ed Buchanan. Ed, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
A fellow who missed most of the season, came back in for the playoffs, played so well against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, and today you were moving, Ed.
Had to move. I only played, we played 3 games, 3 tough games. We beat Winnipeg twice, and we came in and beat Ottawa. And I think just about every game we played this year, I think we was an underdog. I love being underdogs.
I think the whole club would rather go into a game that way, wouldn't
That's right. It fires us up a little bit, you know. They always think of Saskatchewan small and so on. And they don't realize that we have just as good a team as anybody else, and not better. No, it's just like Green Bay Packers. They're from a little small town, and they're the champion. They have a good ball club. And I think the people judge our team on the size of our town instead of the size of our team and the ability of our team. And we have a great team.
And it'll be a much bigger town tonight, I'll tell you that.
Oh, I tell you, I'm glad I'm not going back tonight. I'm glad I'm going back tomorrow night because they'd probably kill us in there if we came in there tonight.
Thank you very much, Ed. Ed Buchanan, the fine halfback of the Riders. Let's bring in Jim Warden now. Jim Warden, who was the primary receiver tonight, caught a fine touchdown pass. Jim, who belted you? Wow.
Oh, I don't know. I can't figure out why you guys got this set up on the Ottawa side. How come you're not on the Rough Riders side?
Well, this is the only side. Jim, I think a lot of people across the country have underrated you over the past few years. Eagle Keys has been saying for the past 2 that you are the best tight end in the country and a very underrated receiver. I think you proved that today.
What, that I was underrated?
That you're a great receiver.
Oh, well, I don't know. I just do the job, you know. I'm not usually a primary receiver today. I happen to be lucky, that's all.
Well, what about this nose? When did you get that, the top of the beak?
Shoot, I don't know. I really can't tell
And you don't care right now?
No.
Okay, thank you very much,
Yeah.
Jim. Right. We'll be back with some of our post-time activities in just a moment.
Do Pontiac people know something you don't?
Today's kind of people drive Pontiac. Today's brand of action is Pontiac. The action is great. The people can't wait. Get out and go Pontiac now.
These Pontiac people know the luxury of Pontiac. Pontiac Grand Parisienne. If you'd like to know the luxury of Grand Parisienne, see your Pontiac dealer.
A Pontiac's great. Better not wait. Get out and go Pontiac now.
Well, our post-game programming continues. Nobby, this was a game where highlights, there were plenty of them. I don't think it's remiss if after having heard from some of the players who provided them that we re-show them, have a look at them, get your keen analysis of them, and I think that would be a good way to put the capper on the 66 Grey Cup game here at Vancouver, which was certainly an exciting affair.
It certainly was, and I thought the way the first half went, that we were going to have an extremely high-scoring ball game, but Saskatchewan completely nullified the Ottawa pass offense in the second half, and I thought that this was probably the biggest single factor in controlling Ottawa and keeping them off the scoreboard.
There was that sudden outburst. It started in rather tranquil fashion with Ottawa on the ground, and then they unleashed that pass Jackson to Tucker, for an explosive touchdown. This would almost seem to set the key for the game.
They came out on the rollout, and as we can see here, they came out on a rollout left and hit Tucker, and he caught the ball. Some excellent blocks. You notice Pertrix and Wallerzak. A perfect throw. Dillard was wide open also on the sideline. Jackson had 2 receivers that he could have actually hit. He could have had Dillard or Tucker. He picked the most open one, the one that could have gone for 6 points, and that's the one he hit.
Well, the thing at the point in the ball game, Nobby, I can recall that Saskatchewan didn't lose their poise after that one. That was a dramatic touchdown early on in the game. Saskatchewan came right back, and they too, with Lancaster directing the offense, a very cool and efficient manner, came back to assume the lead at 7-6 on a converted touchdown. And it just seemed, as you recall the game now, that Saskatchewan certainly were a very poised ball club today. They just seemed confident about it.
Well, they certainly knew they could run the football, and this is what they wanted to do. And there was a fake to Reed, and the touchdown to Jim Warden. And certainly Jim Warden in today's ball game, besides being an excellent blocker, which I certainly knew that he was, but he quite surprised Ottawa and went for the long ones.
Well, this was the thing, a little bit of coaching here, the move and counter move. And Eagle, he had a few more going today.
The offense was set up, Saskatchewan's, that they would attempt to run the football. Not very many drop-back passes, if you noticed. It was all the running game, and then the complementary play, the pass, faking the run, as Lancaster did with the one to Warden, the fake, and then the big pass.
Well, Ottawa came back, they, as you mentioned in the telecast, and it was mentioned subsequently in the post-game review by the players, that it was a broken play. And yet this attests to the ingenuity. But here's Saskatchewan come back again with the examples, just as you've mentioned here. Lancaster on the move, and oh, that was a tough one. That was a tough break.
Well, I think the biggest factor on that particular play was that the ball was a little high for Obilovich to intercept, and if he made any mistake at all, was in going for the interception. If he could play that back again, I'm sure that he'd take a swipe at it and knock the ball down.
This is one of those things, a split-second judgment by a ball player. If he'd have knocked it down, who knows how the game might have gone from there. But this seemed to be a break. Saskatchewan were both very, very good today, and they were fortunate in getting the breaks, but also taking the opportunity to turn the breaks into scores.
Well, anytime that you get an opportunity and you get a break, the good football teams take advantage of them. The poor ones don't.
Nobby, it was mentioned to Frank Clare, do you think that there was a great drain after that tremendous effort against Hamilton? This is the club they had to get by. And here is Jackson on the move. As we mentioned, this was typical of the
a broken play because Jackson got run out of the pocket. He had to get out. And Tucker was just dilly-dallying along the side because he wasn't to really be in a pass pattern. Jackson was trying to hit a man on the inside at about 15, 20 yards. And Tucker, having the experience and the knowledge that he has in seeing Jackson break out, he immediately took off and started to run.
Well, Nobby, this is rather typical of the Ottawa play, as I mentioned, as they got by Hamilton in that tremendous final in the East. Their ability to adjust, and, of course, Jackson's individual brilliance, enabling him to do these things, combining with the talent he had.
And then Saskatchewan came and hit Campbell on the inside on that hook to Poirier on a comeback hook. And certainly the way Ottawa was playing their defense, and here we can see it, he'll come back and he'll catch it right in between 3 people. And this is something that Campbell is the type of receiver that can do this type of thing. And certainly they weren't going to try to go deep, go to the outside, because his own defense is set up to take away the long pass. They want you to throw the ball short.
Well, it was a brilliant play, Nobby. Certainly Campbell, he's demonstrated to fans in the Canadian Football League why they've termed him Gluey Huey, and that's the term that they apply in Regina. They love them all there tonight, I'm sure.
Then the second half, and right in the last quarter, Saskatchewan really went with their running game. They went with Buchanan and Reed, and their last touchdown was scored by Reed. He got a couple of good blocks right at the line. He was held near the line. We can see it right there, and he breaks out, and he makes no mistake. He wanted this Grey Cup, And he also wanted that touchdown because if you remember on a previous play, he had broken out for about a 12-yard gain and got tackled just from behind by the shoe top. And if you remember in our picture, he was kicking the turf. He was a little angry with himself.
Well, he has nothing to be angry about now. Believe me, George Reed was one of the stars on a day in which there were many for the Saskatchewan Roughriders and also on the Ottawa team, too. In a recap of 29-14, Saskatchewan, with the statistics here, 18 first downs to 12, and that bears out the score. A total of 347 yards on offense by Saskatchewan. And they turned their balance from the 160 yards passing, 187 yards rushing. The predominance was on the pass in the first half, but in the second half they turned to the rushing game. Ottawa 99 yards rushing, 187 yards passing. Russ Jackson 7 for 17, and Saskatchewan, they were 10 for 20 by Ron Lancaster. The average yardage on punts, 39 by Ottawa. Klein, Saskatchewan, had 36 by Ford. Lost in penalties, Ottawa 63, and this has to be an important statistic there because there are at least 2 roughing penalties that in the general scheme of things had a part in this game. 35 for Saskatchewan, as they were very eager early on in the game. They had 2 successive offsides called against them, which may have had a slight effect. And the individuals, Reed, 23 carries, 138 yards, a 6.0 average. Buchanan, 10 for 54. Dillard, 9 for 31, and that must be a surprise that Dillard wasn't utilized more than he was due to the combination of that very, very rough Saskatchewan defense and the way the game went along. Jackson, 4 for 26. Well, Nobby Wierkowski, I'll tell you that it's going to be a ripe old time in Regina tonight. That's the second title there. We salute the East York Argos Canadian Senior Champs, St. Francis Xavier, the College Bowl title holders, the Regina Rams, winner of the Canadian Junior title, and a salute to Gord Curry at a testimonial dinner, and I'm sure Eagle Keys, well, he'll probably be having dinners from now until the next football season starts. And this Grey Cup game for 1966, well, it's now history. That completes our post-game programming. And I'd like to express my appreciation to you, Nobby. During the past 2 years, it's certainly been my pleasure, and I think it's been shared by many others, to be a part of the telecast crew, and we're mighty disappointed. I know I say that personally, and for many, many others, that you're not going to be back with us next year. This is sort of the final game for Nobby, but he's going on to other things as director of player personnel with the Toronto Argonauts, and who knows, the Argonauts may be in the Grey Cup game very, very shortly with Nobby Wierkowski right there with some of the players that he's brought to them. I'd also like to extend my thanks to Ernie Afghaniss along with our other broadcast crew members both from the East and from the West for their assistance and cooperation. Also the CFL executive, the coaches, and the players. And lastly, certainly a salute to all our viewers and fans from coast to coast. The final score once again, the Saskatchewan Roughriders 29, the Ottawa Roughriders 14. The Grey Cup goes to Saskatchewan for the first time in their history. Now this is Fred Scambatti. Here is Bob Quintrell.
From an almost deserted Empire Stadium, we have a special message for you from General Motors of Canada. The GM people have asked me in their name to thank you for your interest in the Canadian pro football games they have co-sponsored this year. They also want to express publicly their appreciation to the officials, to the camera crews, technicians, and to the many other people who have made this season so successful. And last, but of course not least, to the players themselves. To them and to you, our audience, go the very best wishes from everybody at General Motors. And that's where we wrap up our 1966 coverage of the Grey Cup. We'd like to invite you all
Canadian professional football. This half brought to you by General Motors Products of Canada Limited on behalf of your authorized Pontiac dealer.
This is the CBC Television Network.